Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network Talk That Talk Tuesday. I am not one of the usual hosts for the show tonight. My name is J Mac from the Tough Topics podcast, and I'm so honored to be able to host this show tonight. We are going to be talking about how it seems like whenever it rains, it pours with these male celebrities, these tycoons, if you will, getting jammed up in these lawsuits, right? And we noticed that when one comes out, just like we saw with Cassie and Diddy, now it's a slew of others, Jamie Foxx and some others that are experiencing these same exact issues. And so we're going to talk about, do you all feel that these grievances are genuine? Do we feel like there maybe is a place for the discussion, but while also recognizing that these women are probably fishing for some coins and maybe even some relevancy? Notice the women, for instance, with Cassie and the Diddy situation, who's thought anything about Cassie in the last several years? And now she comes about and her name is trending and all this type of stuff. So I got a great panel with me tonight. We've got JT from the What We Know podcast. We've got Reckless Ray De Niro, who you know is going to keep it raw and real. We've got Mr. Bennett. How you doing? And we've got R Payne. So do you guys want to take a second to introduce yourselves? Give us your socials.
Yeah, I'm JT, like the young lady said. I'm the host of the What We Know show, What We Know podcast. Pretty much talk about social issues. A lot of times we would talk about hip hop or whatever it is that affects us in everyday life.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Sorry, my bad. Yo, you know what it is. It's Reckless Ray De Niro. We over here, basically trying not to be dysgenic, trying not to be broke. Host of the Guns and Butter show every Thursday night. Host of Future Financial Strategies. Host of Crypto Portfolio Updates. We're trying to get the finances right. Trying to get our bodies right. Trying to be out here in the streets looking like some of these oofy goofies that we're gonna be talking about this evening.
Let me go. I'll go next, Mr. Bennett. You can go after me. So Payne, marriage, politics, and sports. I did a podcast yesterday on this channel for BMU on this exact topic, but this one will probably be better because it'll be more collective. I look at this from a standpoint of intended consequences versus the unintended consequences of a law like this that puts such a wide net across trying to find out all the so-called perpetrators, but they're going to have a whole bunch of good fish in that net as well, you know, and I don't know whether justice for women trumps destroying men, and we got to look at that.
All right, well, I'm Mr. Bennett. Oftentimes you'll find me in these spaces on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, where I'm usually here on Tuesday night, Talk That Tuesday, on Friday Night Barbershop, and oftentimes on the Wednesday sports show. And so I enjoy being in this environment. You'll find me also on Instagram under my handle, Paul T. Bennett. I deal with fitness over 50, and just, lifestyle fitness, just trying to be a better version of yourself and just have a positive message out there for men in general. So, always good to be part of this space, and looking forward to a fruitful conversation this evening.
Well, thank you guys so much for introducing yourselves. And I'm sure with such a panel of great hosts that we'll have a great conversation. So I want to get started with, there's two different articles that I wanted to show. The first is from, hey, Trey, did you want to introduce yourself as well?
What's up? I'm trying.
And I'm angry.
Yeah, I was about to say
something to piss y'all off tonight, so get ready.
Oh,
Trey, I don't even know if you can piss us off tonight because something tells me a lot of us are going to be on the same accord with this one, but I do have a slightly different like kind of perspective to add that I'm not sure if people are thinking about. So I'm going to go ahead and show this article. This one is from Fox News. The only reason I chose this one was because I liked the way it was worded. This one is about Jamie Foxx. The title of it is Jamie Foxx, Axl Rose, Sean Combs among VIPs named in sex abuse suits before New York law expired. So of course we know that that's kind of the crux of all this is that these ladies are able to kind of retroactively say, hey, this thing happened X amount of time ago, and the law in New York before now it affords them the ability to do that with seemingly very little to go on to further it. So let's take a look at the article. There we go. Okay. So let me see if I can't get this huge ad off the top of it. Can't even see. Oh dear. Stop seeing this ad. Not interested. Okay. I'll try to find a different one because this one's not gonna show in full. 1 second. Maybe I can try the Cassie one. The Cassie, that one might come up. Yeah, I think that one looks a little more normal. Okay, we'll start with that one instead. All right, so the title of this article is Cassie Spotted for First Time Since Diddy Lawsuit Amid Rumors He Pressured Her into Getting Breast Implants Before Demanding Reduction. So I guess that's a really specific complaint that she had there. So we see Cassie just talks about new pictures shows she seems to be in good spirits. Her sighting comes amid a new report alleging that she suffered a traumatic plastic surgery experience as demanded by the Bad Boys Records head. I want to see if it goes into more detail about the original lawsuit. Okay. Let's see. This one's talking about how good she looks considering all that she's going through. Okay, here we go. This is more kind of what I was looking for. This says this marks the first time Cassie has been seen publicly since filing a lawsuit against Diddy on Thursday. In the complaint, she alleged that he had subjected her to years, plural, of sexual, physical, and mental abuse throughout their decade-long relationship. So I guess my first question that I wanted to pose to you gentlemen is, do you think it's possible for a person to unwillingly suffer years of abuse? And you guys can take turns going. Maybe we can start with JT.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. What do we start with now?
Do you think that it's like when people phrase, like for instance, the verbiage of her lawsuit was she alleges that she suffered through years of physical, mental, etc. abuse from Diddy. And I was asking, do you think that that's even possible that you are an unwilling, victim for years, plural, of abuse from another person?
My personal opinion, no. I don't think that not in the setting that she's in, not being who she is, who Diddy is. That was in my opinion, she was definitely willing. I don't think that everything that she's saying is absolutely true. One of the reasons is because it's not in criminal court, and money is just not going to. It's not going to save anything when it comes down to abuse, mental abuse, or physical abuse, or whatever it is. Now, do I think that she participated in some lewd sexual acts and things like that? Yes. I just don't think that it was 100% unwilling. Maybe it's something that she was didn't want to do, but for whatever reason, she ended up participating. And now that she thought back on it or something, I don't know if money is the motivation or if someone talked her into doing whatever. But I mean, it all is. In my opinion, it's all fishy out here. I mean, since this Me Too movement has started, I mean, these folks is on a rampage, and now they done made this stupid law in New York. Man, it's crazy.
Thank you, JT. I appreciate that perspective because I'm actually in the same kind of camp with that, where it feels like when you and I'm gonna let the rest of you go, of course, but just to offer a response, if you're a person like Cassie, you're dating a man like Diddy, I feel like certain things you either one expect or two you kind of understand the role that you are basically this man's trophy to present to the world. You're young and supple, he's a powerful man. You are dating him for that reason. You're dating him because he's this powerful rich man. And so when you add that part into it, where you're no longer dating someone based off their character and how they really make you feel, when you've added that kind of other aspect into it, then I think some of the things that she's expecting us to sympathize with her about, it's kind of difficult for me to do. Ray, what you think?
I want you to imagine a world where upon reaching the point of post-nut clarity, every man prosecuted every chick he slept with. Because, honestly, if we reference this back to the 3 a.m. rule, there's a bunch of big bitches out here that would be in prison for taking advantage of us at 3 a.m. Because technically speaking, had there been any other options, that's some box I didn't want that was forced upon me at 3 a.m. Now, the second thing that I want to say is, Diddy, I hope they throw him under the jail because that dude's been nasty. He nasty across the board. He is not a good person. So to say that he is beyond reproach or that he is some sort of being victimized with all the nasty stuff that he's been doing to people since he's been in a position of power would be remiss. So there's no defending him. But again, like JT said, when you're just wanting money and that's your definition of justice, that's not justice. It's not. It's you are trying to get paid because this person is in a position of power. And what this does is it opens up the floodgates for everyone. Anyone you've ever been with that didn't feel like you didn't feel in some type of way about that. Once you get money, they can now come ask for some of it. It's another tool for women to extract resources from men. And the interesting thing about the utilization of this tool, after thinking about it, after talking with our Payne yesterday, is as men withdraw from marrying women and taking away their primary tool for extracting resources from us, now we've got one where you can just make some shit up and extract resources from basically anyone. Let's have that conversation, because this doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you've actually had an interaction with at this point, because it's the court of public approval. And if you've got money, you're better off just paying me to shut up. You're better off paying me to go away, because I'm going to drag you through the mud, and then nobody's going to get the secondary story. You ain't never met me. This didn't happen. I said it did. So what needs to happen, men, is we have to give these women a taste of their own medicine. This will all go away tomorrow if men start prosecuting women who have somehow figured out how to get to the bag via extraction of resources of their own part, which is how most of them get wealthy. Facts. What if we just started going after that money? We had an encounter. I was drunk. It was 3 a.m. I didn't want to do that. Now that I think about it, 30 years later, give me some money, bitch.
Well, Ray, though, do you think that that would be a successful tactic, though, for men to start pressing the charges or whatever? Because we already know how men are perceived in the criminal justice system, especially black men, but kind of men across the board. Y'all aren't usually favored in these circumstances. It's always going to go towards the female in a sense of when it's a your word versus hers. Like they're just going to assume that you're the big, strong, powerful man, and you must have taken advantage of this, this woman. And so do you even think that that would really be a successful tactic?
Well, I think it doesn't matter whether it's successful. It's about taking up resources and taking up time. Because at a certain point, some of it will be these women who are in positions of power. That what's the Indian chick's name? Dot, not Feather. That's the producer over at Scooby-Doo that kept all the shows that she's the executive producer on. She sets up because it's guys that she just wants to kiss. And then she carries the scenes over too far. She needs to catch like 5 lawsuits. Like, honestly, because she admitted to it on national TV and they applauded the shit. But we're talking about a court of law, which means that, like, if they've set the precedents already, they got to prosecute it. Now, if they don't, the next step is we sue the system. We take it all the way up to the top. Be like, you look at how you're prosecuting these cases. Explain yourself. We're taken advantage of too, right? Me as well. Me also. You sue them and you add a cost to it. At a certain point as men, well, what you're going to have is men just ain't going to be dealing with chicks. Like, that's what's going to happen. Y'all gonna be talking about, oh, we're blocked out of mentorships. You're damn right. No one's gonna be in a room with you alone. You get mentored with a class of people and a witness and a sonographer.
And see, that's the thing that bothers me the most about this kind of concept. I know this is not the exact same parameters, but you reminded me of something when you said that men will just kind of stop allowing women into like certain spaces because we beg and beg to be in certain spaces. We beg to be in corporate America. We beg to be amongst the men in their more kind of natural or more typical environments. And then we don't kind of play by the rules. Like if you're going to be a woman amidst a bunch of men in corporate America where you're probably going to work in tight pencil skirts and heels and stuff to look nice, of course, but you can't expect to never get hit on. You can't expect to never be approached, and that can't always be, reduced to, oh, I was sexually harassed at work and all these types of things. It's like, if you want to be around men, then you need to, if you're going to beg to be in their spaces, I should say, then you definitely need to kind of learn the lingo, if you will.
Well, the question is, I mean, in regards to those things, outside of ESG, outside of what we're perceived and what we're told that women can do we need y'all? That's an honest to God question. When we talk, I mean, they just showed the video of them 4 police officers who lost one dude in Chicago that literally gingerly removed himself from the situation and got away with whatever he was doing. They couldn't. If you removed every man from this planet right now, y'all would starve to death, literally, from the jobs that we do within 2 years. Because the production of food in and of itself, every single one of you would have to leave your cushy job to go get food, of which you would create roughly 800 calories a day. You would starve to death. That's with all women just making food. Then the lights don't come on no more because there aren't enough for you to go make power.
Hey, Ray, save some for the rest of the show.
The roads all the cars would stop working because not enough of you are mechanics or are capable of being mechanics. There's going to be no new cars because you can only fix one problem at a time with the resources that you have. When it comes to building businesses, y'all are advocating to go into businesses that we built. You're not even building your own businesses. Y'all would rather collectively get together and complain at Victoria's Secret to make lingerie to put on y'all's big asses, as opposed to going and making a big ass lingerie company for women with big asses. Y'all ain't even capable of building your own stuff in a free market where y'all could be your own customers, because you don't even support each other.
That's true.
So as these men are starting to remove themselves from you, as we start to build companies and businesses that don't need funding, because believe this or not, men actually can build stuff without funding from outside. Like, we're capable of just building stuff. It's harder, it takes more time, but the cost of having to adapt and having to bend the knee to Keisha and whoever the hell else they want to have in versus just being able to run a business privately the way that you see fit, you're gonna start seeing this pendulum swing back, and it's gonna be ugly as we start automating and putting AI in these jobs that y'all are going and paying these hundreds of thousands of dollars to get degrees for, that are going to get wiped out because we don't need you. How is this? I mean, I understand y'all think you winning now, but it's a short-term victory, and it's going to be at a very high cost. Very high. And I don't see how this plays out. If we're actually gonna have a gender war, y'all do realize we can lift heavy rocks, right? Like, we just physically stronger than you. If we have a knockdown drag out in the street, y'all gonna lose. Like, is this actually what you want? Like, that's my question. Because, like, I'm 100% for getting justice. I mean, honestly, y'all could probably run Diddy over with like a steamroller or something. I'd be down for that. But this is about extracting resources and then allowing this man to continue navigating the way that he's navigating. Now, if somebody also, does this woman not have a father? Because, like, if somebody touched my kid, bro, Diddy would be up out of here. I don't care what kind of kingpin he thinks he is. He's a human. Humans die. Like, that's the reason I'm like, I can't believe that this is about justice. Like, I can't.
So
It doesn't make sense.
I want to get our pain and the rest of the panel's answer to that specific question I asked, but I do think that you bring up an interesting point where, specifically with Cassie, I feel like from what I read of the original lawsuit, I might be getting these years mixed up, but I think it was 2016 where she first was kind of alleging, even within just her private circles of people, that, hey, he's doing this, this, and this. It's strange things he's subjecting me to, etc. But 2 years later, she met with him for dinner, and then he ended up doing something else. It's like, why are you meeting with him for dinner if he's this, ABUSIVE individual? Like, that's where these women lose credibility. But our pain, can you offer a response to the question? Do you think that it's a legitimate thing when people, not just women, when people say that they've been abused by a partner for years? Do you feel like at some point you must become a willing participant, kind of a glutton for your own punishment? Or do you think that people experience some sort of Stockholm syndrome? What do you think about that?
Well, the only thing I push back on you is the question is about women. It's not about everybody. This question is about women. We got to keep it there, because this law is about women. First of all, I think it's unconstitutional. And I wish somehow it can get up to our conservative Supreme Court, because they would shoot this shit down. I really do. Now, what the women are going through, I believe in the Stockholm Syndrome. However, I don't think this has anything to do with that. Because people who succumb to Stockholm Syndrome, there's a whole lot of other influences and environments that they're put into where they don't have any other stimuli except their oppressor. And it's going to be very tough for her to convince me that with all the shit she's going on in the industry that she was in, with all the people she was dealing with, that P. Diddy has such a hold on her that she didn't know that there was anything else viable out there. That's just bullshit. I mean, also say she's taking pictures now is those breast implants still in, or did she take them out? You know what I'm saying? If he made her take breast implants, did she take those shits out before she took these pictures? Or does she have that cleavage based on his goddamn breast implant? You know, I mean, it's listen, she could have been someone, she was 19, right? And here's another thing I can't stand. When women try to say because she's 19, she's not an adult, that's bullshit. The law says you're in different states, you're an adult at different ages. But if you're over 18 and you can go to war and die, you're an adult. I don't care what nobody says. So let's stop the bullshit. You know, so this law is bad, not because women who deserve some kind of retribution shouldn't get it. It's because of the net that's cast is going to destroy a whole bunch of men based on women lying. And this whole notion that believe all women and women don't lie, it's just bullshit. You know, I don't know how much evidence that we need to know that women will lie on men. That's number one. And number two, I mean, it's just so, there's just so many bad things that's going on with this law that in the end, it's going to take away the credibility of real victims. And this one is a money grab because it's only civil. And it's only civil because they know, when I say they, the government institutions know that with so much time passed, criminal or beyond a believable doubt is something they can't prove. So a civil case is just a preponderance of evidence, and you don't need to have a unanimous jury. So all you need to do is have a few feminists and a couple of effeminate men on your jury, and it's over. Right? You're going to lose. Right? I mean, I looked at the Trump trial because he got caught up in this thing. That wacky ass woman shouldn't have won anything. Nothing. She was all over the place. And he didn't even get liable for SA. He got liable because he called her a bad name in the press. A lot of people don't know that. So I'm just saying this is a bad law. We talked about it yesterday. It's just bad. And for somebody who's had a personal encounter with a woman who's actually been SA'd, like I did, this is a travesty. When I say encounter, I had a friend of mine who just cried on my shoulder after she told me she was SA'd the night before. And that's all she did. So I'm all for women getting retribution, justice. And nobody could, I defy anybody accusing me of letting women out. I got daughters and everything else. And and she's in New York State, by the way. And I wish she would have came up with under the deadline. Because if I got on the jury, not on the jury, but if I got on the stand, there wouldn't be a court in this land that wouldn't convict a guy on my testimony. Because what her tears has imprinted on me for 40 to 50 years already. You know, so I still remember like yesterday, her crying on my shoulder, right? The day before, the day after. So there's real cases, but a lot of these cases not real. You know, so it's a lot of men who get hurt. And there's no way you could clear your name once your name is put in the press. You can never clear it. So this is a damn shame. The law is bad. And you know, so people who get justice, I don't know. So I'm gonna just land it there. You know, there's a lot of conversation.
Arpain, have you ever testified in a court of law?
I was on the jury, but I never testified before. No. Why you say that? Why you say that?
Because you seem quite confident in your ability to do something that you've never done before.
You put me on the stand, I'd kick it. Man, based on me being there, listen, if you were on the jury, Trey, you'd be convinced as well. If you, after I got finished, you'd be convinced. You'd be my yardstick. If I
this ain't Law and Order, and you don't get to tell a story. That's not how it works. That shows your inexperience. It shows your inexperience when it comes to a court of law. If you don't get to sit up, there and tell us.
There's only question they ask me,
and you don't get to do a lecture. That's not how it works. You answer the questions that I asked to you.
Her lawyer can ask me to explain. Right.
And you're going to get cross-examined. You're going to get cross-examined and you're going to get destroyed.
No, I wouldn't. No,
They do this for a living, bro.
Listen, man, I kicked their asses. Believe me, they wouldn't cross examine where I live.
We talk all the time about men. Men don't want to believe that they're delusional. You're listening to delusion right now.
No, I'm not. I've been on a jury. So
I didn't ask you about a jury. I asked you, have you ever raised your hand, sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and had an attorney stand in front of you and question you about what you ate for lunch yesterday?
I'll concede to you, but I'm saying you're wrong. You're saying I'm wrong. But let's move on. All right, so go ahead. I'm done.
How about we just stop talking about shit we don't know nothing about?
No, that's bullshit. I do know what I'm talking about.
You don't. I just proved it. You've never done it.
You know, no, you didn't. I mean, you think you did, but you didn't. I'm confident I will convince the jury.
I'm confused. Trey, what exactly is your pushback for what Arpain was saying?
My pushback is that if you've never been in a case, a sexual assault case, you don't know how you're going to answer the questions that are posed to you because you don't know the opposition's questions. You don't know what they're going to ask you. And if you've never been in a courtroom, and I have testified on multiple occasions, I cannot tell you. I've had defense attorneys destroy me because I didn't know what they were going to ask. There's no way to prepare for it. So this idea that you can go up there and you can convince a jury, it's bullshit.
It's not bullshit. I can convince the jury. I'm the man. I'm the goddamn man, Trey.
I don't doubt at all, Arpain, that you could convince a jury and that you are the man. Well, Trey, since you already kind of started to give your opinion, can you specifically answer my question about do you think that there's any legitimacy to this idea of, suffering years long abuse? Is there like a line, maybe a fine one between where it's like, hey, maybe at first this was a real thing and then eventually you stayed for whatever reason and we should lose sympathy? What are your thoughts about that type of thing?
At the end of the day, we have to understand that women work on a different scale than we do. There's no doubt. Yes, I'm human, hot sauce. How dare I be emotional?
No, you're not.
What the fuck is my problem? Weird. That's always a go-to for people. Oh, you're an emotional man. Yes, I am. Anger is an emotion, and so is happiness. So yes, I am emotional. Anyway, the point I'm making here is that there's no doubt in my mind that Cassie at some point in time woke up and realized that she was being abused. But she then decided she has to make a decision. Tina Turner had to make this decision. They all have to make a decision at some point in time. Are you going to continue to allow this abuse to happen, or are you going to do something about it? At what point in time are you going to make a decision? And to me, this sounds like Cassie made a business decision. And that business decision was, okay, this is who he is, because Diddy had a reputation, and whether or not what they said about him was true is irrelevant. He did have a reputation. She made a business decision. Her business decision was, I'm going to stick this out because there possibly could be something in it for me lucratively later on down the line. Lo and behold, a female senator or lawmaker, governor, or whatever, passes this law, and bingo, bango, now I got work. They need to call this the Adult Survivors Retirement Act, because that's what a lot of these women are getting right now. They're getting retirement money. So yes, to a degree, I don't think Cassie's lying. I don't think any abuse victim from depending on who the man is lying. I don't think she's lying about Diddy and what happened. But I also think that she knew what the hell she was doing. And that I'm not going to pass and act like she's stupid and she's naive and she's frail. And I don't know. No, you knew what time it was. And you knew at some point in time that this could come back to bite him and you was going to get paid for it. And that's exactly where we are. And the governor just made it easy for you.
Let me just add, Trey, though, it was a man who sponsored the bill. Unfortunately, but it was a man who came up with it in the Senate, and he had a female from the assembly who came behind him and supported him. I just want to throw that out there, but the governor did sign it. And it was unanimously passed by the Senate in New York and 140-3 in the assembly.
I
What's
think
the
that
male to female ratio in that Senate in New York?
Well, if there was men on there from the new century, like millennials and Gen X's, they were all females.
Well, this takes me to my point about
the
the point that Ray is making about this manhood thing, and if all the men this and all the, at some point in time, we need to acknowledge the fact that we got a bunch of spineless dudes running around that wouldn't even tell women to be quiet, let alone change laws. It's not going to happen. This is not a reality that we live in. Most men can't even control the woman that they marry to, let alone random women on the street. So this whole idea of, oh, men need to, it's not happening. We're around a bunch of spineless dudes.
So you're saying the MGTOW movement's not happening? I mean, the MGTOW movement's not happening. You're telling me that with the decisions that men are making within the boardrooms and the businesses that those of us who actually employ people are owning, that we're not building them in the image that we see fit. You're saying that's not happening? You're saying that when I'm talking to these men that are actually in control of shit, that have money, Trey, like a lot of it,
most of the
conversations that we're having behind doors, going, hey, we need to put people in position. We need to look out for each other. You're saying those conversations aren't happening.
I don't give a damn about conversations. I'm talking about actions.
100%.
And a lot of guys who have money are the biggest simps and biggest pussies out here.
They're the biggest simps for the one bitch that they done took off the market. Yeah, that's fine. But when they're building their business, they're not going, oh, I got a simp for this chick here because she doesn't care there, because women don't even care about each other. She's not influencing the way that he is navigating. She's not influencing the way that he is looking out for other men. Like, I mean, I can tell you straight up, Trey, that like we advocating and putting people in position, like, because they're seeing what's happening. Even the men that are trying to simp, that are trying to be progressive, that are trying to be the good men, that are putting women in position, that are then turning around and getting them fired, because even when you do what they ask, you are still the patriarchy and they still want to destroy you.
Right.
Men are learning. You only got to get your career fucked up once.
Like,
over you presenting a woman that you. Hold on. Let me finish our pain. Because I understand, but like Trey, like you don't employ people. So like for so I'm going to give you the same statement that you just gave our pain as somebody who employs people, like actual people, like an actual company, not contract workers. I got employees. I'm registered with the state. I own a business. And when I'm telling you that me and other business owners are having these conversations that are not looking for outside funding, that are doing the small and medium-sized businesses, the actual businesses, not working out of your basement, not sitting on the internet telling people, these conversations are being had. People are being put in position. We're looking out for each other, Trey. Like, that pullback, because the conversation about not even being able to have conversations with women in private and being like, yo, we got to shift over, and them going, hey, we need to put some men in some of these positions. Like, our companies don't have ESG scores. No one's coming in account.
Hey, let me just say one more thing, Ray, before you guys go on to Mr. Bennett. This marks what's going on now, sis, is marking one of the best times for black men, black heterosexual men, white heterosexual men, and all the heterosexual men out there who want to get their balls back, to bound together and try to change some shit. And like in my whole lifetime, we've been told that the white man is our enemy, but not what's going on now. We're all allies, because there's a group of men in the patriarchy who thinks it's better to allow all this shit to go on. It's crazy. I mean, men are in danger. I mean, women might be in danger of men from violence, but the things that we're in danger from women is insidious, and there's no end to it. We can't be comfortable in marriage. We can't be comfortable in childbirth with women. We can't be comfortable in anything. Every law that's out there is geared towards making women happy and destroying men. And it's just crazy. And I like women. You know, but it's just so unbalanced now.
But our pain, don't you think we've been adjusting and adapting for years? We've done this shit for years. It's going to continue to get worse. We just got to learn how to adjust and adapt. Teach your sons how to adjust and adapt. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to have to do. Unless we get some laws changed and us men come together as one and decide to make some laws change, we're going to have to adjust and adapt like we've been doing. Some people don't want to adjust and adapt. Those are the ones who are going to suffer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's not a matter of us, like, look, I'm not going to argue the law thing because we're not going to vote it in. I agree with Trey on that respect. But I'm saying the removal of our presence and ourselves from them will limit what they can do. It's going to be a simple thing of you're going to see those Black Rocks. They're going to be like, hey, ESG, you want this money? And people are going to say no. They're going to go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to run my business the way that I want. Oh, okay, well, fine. Well, then you're going to have to, I won't be public. You're going to see big businesses go private at a certain point once this fever pitches back, and we'll just go, cool. If you bitches want to play that game and you want to rock that way, build your own shit and compete like everybody else.
The nature of man is not going to
we don't have to do shit. We don't have to change a single law. We stop marrying these bitches and we stop having. Don't take keep your business private.
To do that.
The nature of man is not going to allow that, right?
Elon Musk literally took Twitter off the market. What are you talking about? It's already happening. Small, medium-sized businesses can build the way that they see fit right now, Trey. Because
Ray, what world are you in? A woman was just voted Man of the Year from GQ. That same woman got a partnership with the NBA that's worth billions of dollars.
The same woman is
what
going
you're talking
IPO.
About is not happening.
Yeah, you're talking about at the tippy tip top. You're talking about the tippy tip top, Trey.
You got to make the proper adjustment within the law. That's all you got to do. Make the proper adjustments within the law. So what Ray's talking about, he's making adjustments.
Yeah, for as long as these dudes is not having sex out here, they not making no adjustments. They gonna go along with what the women say because they want to have sex with them. Plain and simple.
We're not disagreeing with Ray, but that's ideal.
But I said it earlier.
Yeah, you're ideal.
Our pain. Come on, baby. Let me have the mic for a minute. I said it earlier. Us men got to come to it as a collective and make some changes. Now, whether we change them in the law or we change them on how we move. Either way, we're going to have to make some changes. Now, if you're not willing to change, then keep on doing business with those dudes. And us as a collective will be like a fraternity. We'll move as such.
I agree with you, Hank. All I'm trying to say is that the nature of man is undefeated. And, all the stuff we're saying is that when men can get that kind of control, they got to reach a certain age of discernment. And what I'm saying, until that happens, listen, Hank, you're talking from your perspective. You know, and so are you, Ray, and so am I. Yeah. And I agree with you guys. But we live in this world. We understand that men are predisposed to want to have sex.
Yeah.
Period. And because of that, we're predictable and we're easily manipulated. And every single piece of literature that has ever been written and is written now proves that. So I agree with you, but as individuals, the only people we can get into our collective to do the right thing are men who reach a certain age of discernment and a certain age of transformation from the fact that sex is the most important thing to them to something more important.
Bro,
and the books written on that. I mean, there's books written on that.
You like one of the men that's vote on us. You're not gonna say that's collective with us.
Well, but the deal is, but Hank, here's the problem. It's there. We don't have to do that either. It's just, look, we'll put it this way: the conversation's being had amongst the people who are winning and producing. Like, take control of the means of production. Women don't produce shit. Let's be honest. So if the conversation's happening amongst the winners, it don't matter how many of you niggas fold, because you're going to be folding to the lesser of the pack that are screeching and ring, because the men that I'm around, the ones that are actually doing shit, their wives aren't on board with this shit either. They're like, this is stupid. So you only got to get it right once. And I understand Trey wants to fuck the planet, which is totally fine. But like, you out there with the urchins, like, that's fine. That's your problem. Your reality.
Guys, let let me please cut in for a second because we do have a couple more new panel members, and I definitely wanted to get Mr. Bennett's opinion on the question before we continue on this great conversation. So, Mr. Bennett, can you please answer the question of what is your take on abuse victims? Do you believe that, I guess maybe we can make it specific to this Cassie and Diddy situation. Does it sound like she kind of made a business decision, an image decision, or she was really suffering from Stockholm syndrome or too scared to leave? What is your opinion on that situation?
I tend to lean more with what Trey was saying.
Before you go, guys, I gotta go. I just wanted to come up here. I'm mad because I didn't see a super child gonna donate $5 because that's all I got because I'm poor and broke.
The Cash App is along the bottom.
Okay.
And don't forget to wish your boy a happy birthday too, man.
Happy birthday, BMU.
Happy birthday, BMU.
Okay, no, no one here. He out there being a goddamn freak. Okay, I
know
got
it.
you. I got
Being
you.
a stripper.
Sorry, brother Ben. I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you, guys. I gotta go do this other thing. Y'all be easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, brother. All right.
All right, brother. I'm gonna cut your ass loose.
I kind of agree with Trey was saying. I think she certainly made as he said, a business decision. But I think I think the way men and women think, I think are a little bit different. You know, men will make rational decisions and choices, but a woman in her emotions, if she's really into a person, I mean, she may do things that she wouldn't necessarily do ordinarily. So she may feel in her mind trapped in certain ways. So I think a lot of things can be true at the same time. But at the end of the day, I think certainly, and given with this law expiring, I didn't know much about the law, so I just did a quick overview of it. And for understanding, it expired on the 24th. So the law you talked about trying to get overturned is already off the books. So the issue now is going to be how all these cases are going to be resolved. And for what I also understand, half of these cases are dealing with prison populations, so women in prisons being assaulted. And I definitely think that goes on a lot. Maybe Trey, you can speak to that as well. So I would rather have it, at least for that reason, because just because you're in prison, that doesn't give, I think, a license for you to be assaulted in prison. The way it's that's been going on. So yeah, I think overall, yeah, I think she made a conscious choice, and before this law expired, I think she decided to put her hat in it at that particular time, and I do think some people operate off of that. But do I think people, especially women or children, those who are in situations where they feel trapped or feel empty if they left? As logical as it sounds for them to just leave a situation, it's not that easy, especially when your emotions are involved or when you're young or when you're vulnerable or naive. So I think a little of both in that situation. So that's overall how I take this specific situation. But the law overall, though, from what I understand, there was a lot of stuff going on in these prisons in New York, which I definitely believe that's going on. I think something needs to be done about that.
Thank you for your take. Also, welcome to Take Heed to the Message, my good sis. How are you doing this evening? You want to just give your quick spill on just, reminding, not introducing, of course, but reminding the people of who you are and your socials and that kind of thing?
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry for my tardiness. My show is called Take Heed to the Message with Abang Anwa. It just means queen. And I just give my perspective on certain things that we deal with in our community. That's it.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So, let me see. Okay, so if you guys can remember what the really heated kind of back and forth that you guys were just having, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what the context of that was. I was trying to look up some articles and stuff. So can somebody kind of give me the brief, like what exactly is, so our Payne was saying something about how, we're starting to see an increase in laws that seem to be purposely targeting men, purposely trying to remove. Okay, Arpane, did you want to go ahead and give me a little?
It's not increasing; it's continuing. Name it: child support court, child support laws. paternity laws, marriage laws, this particular law, even though it's sunsetted, they want to extend it, by the way, Mr. Bennett. And it'd be nice for them to do some kind of analysis of the 2,500 cases that's open. Now, this particular law is based on the Child Victim Act law that gave retribution to the little boys that were diddled by the priests and stuff like that. So they said, well, women are like children, so let's come up with a law that will give them restitution no matter how long ago they got diddled. All right. So I don't think any thought process was going into this law with any kind of unintended consequences, because every single law before it's passed has unintended consequences. So it's not like it's anything new that's happening to men. There's a whole bunch of laws on the books that jam us up. Let me give you an example. There's like 7 states where domestic marriage is when you just cohabitate. Marriage means that you're together. So if a woman leaves her toothbrush in your house for 3 months, she could claim that half of your shit belongs to her because she has residency. Right? So there's a lot of stuff that the protections that women have today might have been cool 100 years ago. But for all of the feminist bullshit about equality, women don't want to let go of the fact that they can take advantage of men. We're under attack monetarily. The transfer of wealth. And I'm going to be quick here. When women got the right to vote, they had exceptions that they didn't have to live up to. The first one was the draft, right? Women didn't have to sign up for the draft. Everybody says, oh, yeah, we don't mean that we had to put women on the front line, but they didn't even have to sign up for selective service like men did. So when we started making those exceptions for women, because they're women, they opened up a can of worms. Right. And there's all kinds of unintended consequences. Now that women, well, first of all, I agree that women's intellectual capacity is something that benefits society.
I thought you said you was going to be quick.
Well, how come I can't let you, Trey? I'm going to be quick.
He's a boomer. He moves slow and he talks slow, Trey. What do you
when he goes off, let me just say what I got to say, and then I'm going to shut up,
But you like a
passive. Let me finish answering. But you know what? I feel bad that my sound of my voice makes you feel so bad. Anyway, but anyhow, because hey, I'll let you ramble. Anyhow, but
I don't ramble.
So I'm gonna end it here. Can I end it here, Trey? I'm gonna end it right here. I promise. Give me countdown, 10 seconds. Listen, all I'm just trying to say is there are a lot of laws benefit women. And it goes against the so-called equality law that you guys want. It's not equality that the feminists want, it's domination. And there's so many weak men now that they kind of ignore the fact that we are being put. I'm not afraid of us losing anything, because if men ever get mad enough, women are going to be in trouble, because everything you enjoy in the West is at the behest and the good nature of men. It's never, that thing is always there. So I'll end it there.
So where is the pushback to that statement? Like, I think we can't all admit that it seems as though that there's an attack on specifically a financial attack on women, on men, especially what we consider to be more high profile men of means. This idea that these women, it reminds me a lot of the Bill Cosby situation, where it's like, okay, you're a young lady, you go to who at the time and still is obviously still a household name, very famous individual, but at the time was at the, the peak of his popularity and career. You go over to his house, you willingly consume alcohol, and you're there with him alone and this kind of thing. And now we have to draw the line at what was at the time a very acceptable kind of party drug, house drug of Quaaludes or whatever. And now I'm supposed to just say 40 years later, you get to come and be like, oh, he took advantage or this kind of thing. Like, no, you went to him because you thought that personal exchange between the two of you would boost your career. And I think a lot of women do that. So where's the pushback to that? We don't all agree on that?
The pushback is from women. He went to jail for that.
No, I'm asking the panel, like, what were you guys arguing about? Like, I agree with what you said. Like, where's the pushback?
The guys like Trey can't stand the sound of my voice, and we could be in violent agreement. But the fact is that the reason why I have to say that is because it's not just about this panel. It's about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's just what's happening. The reason why we're in the predicaments that we're in is because of those dichotomies, because of those situations. Bill Cosby, they broke the law to put him in jail. They actually broke the law to put him in jail. And so, men are behind the 8 ball, but I don't really want to sound like a victim. I think men could do something about it, and we just refuse to because there's only a couple of us left with dicks.
I don't disagree.
The issue
For
is,
you also got to understand
have
women
wealthy
vote
men
more.
not been targeted.
Even if you banned it
name me a point in time in history where wealthy famous men were not targeted by women. They've always been targeted. Yep. We've always been under attack if you had money, resources. Always.
The laws have always been
the issue is why in 2023 are men still so damn stupid? That's the real question. The better question is why is it in 2023 and going beyond, if you are a multimillionaire, you have status and you have access to resources and clout, why are you not doing more to protect yourself so that she can't pull some retroactive consent BS 40 years from now?
You don't know the answer to that, Trey? You don't know the answer to that?
I know the answer to it is because they're stupid.
No. Yeah, that's that part of it, but you still know the answer to that. Because no matter
how this
is the
point I keep trying to make. Men are weak to the little slit in between these ladies' legs. And we keep just glazing over that like it's not a big deal.
Pain stated more eloquently.
It is a huge problem for most men. They cannot get past that.
It's not a problem.
I was in the Walmart today. This girl was cursing this dude out. This dude is sick. He had to be like 6'6". And I'm standing there going, ain't no way she can sit there and talk to me. And she is going off on him. And I'm like, bruh, ain't no way. And I know what it was all about because she was fine. She was fine as hell. So I already knew what time it was then. He was not about to say anything to ruin what he was hoping was probably happening, probably about right now. Right now, at this time, right now. He was not about to ruin that.
But do y'all know that this movement is so bad where they're still trying to prosecute the dead? You got Mr. Playboy. They got a doggone documentary on these women talking about surviving the Playboy mansion.
That's
right. It's like, what the fuck? They got a damn documentary after the man done died. Now you got these women talking about how horrible it was to be a Playboy bunny. This is how
but JT, the entity still lives on. If everything to die with them, then there wouldn't be a documentary. But because it's still ongoing, there's still something to be to be benefited.
I agree with you. I understand how big this movement is. This is why I'm saying that this is a money grab. This is a big ass money grab right now. When they've never I've never heard why he was living. I've never heard anybody say anything. They done had about 5 or 6 documentaries on Hugh Hefner, all the girlfriends he had, and all these things. I've never heard it.
JT, I watched one and it was damn. It was bad.
It was
talking about him recording, and he'd be sitting there watching the whole thing, and it was bad, bro.
Yes,
it did not pay Hugh Hefner in a good light.
Was he forcing them?
But you know, this is always something. Even when I work sex crimes, this is always something. The force. I think a lot of times when people use the word force, they think sort of a physical force, right? Like I'm going to hold you down, or there are other ways of forcing someone to do something through conniving and manipulation, and manipulation, right? And I saw extortion, I saw blackmail, I saw a lot of different things where people were essentially they were forced to do things or else, right?
So I've got a question, and it's only because, again, line of business that I'm in, like we have a client that we went and, well, another company that mentors our company, we had to go help them with some programming on this house. And it was like almost exactly like a Hugh Hefner situation. Like we show up there, we're doing the programming, we're bailing this dude out of the corner he's got himself in. And I start looking around and I start noticing that there's just like random 20-year-old girls just walking around topless in this house. In Chicago, this 20,000 square feet.
It's nice.
And I'm like looking around, like, damn, like who owns this place? Met the owner. This dude's 78. He just got a house full of 20-year-olds just topless all over the fucking place. Are they surviving? Because like me being in the house, I'm like, if y'all ain't trying to cover up when I'm here, bro, like there's just random dudes in the house, and you're just like, yeah, like whatever. Like, this is what we do. Are they surviving after this man dies and the spigot for their lifestyle gets cut off?
Or even better yet,
I think sometimes we fight against the nature of men and women, you know, and you know all the stuff that we do around that, both men and women. Sometimes it comes down to just our nature of men and women. Some of these women that have these cases now, and they're victims. They were giving sex away for chicken dinners. Now, all of a sudden, they found somebody that they can get money for. I mean, you know, it's just crazy. And listen, I want to say this. I'm going to shut up. Let me just say this. I want to say this. The women on this panel, it ain't about the women. It's about the weakness it's about the nature of men that allow us to be put in these situations that we're in. Like Trey is saying, it's not that we're stupid. It's just that, like I said, there's a level of discernment that a lot of men don't reach. And then you could call it stupidity, but it's still a level of discernment. And
there's no way in the world, if I got that kind of money, I'm going to let a bunch of women walk around my house.
But you're crusty. Booty naked. You're 40 years old and crusty. You've learned something. Yeah,
it doesn't matter the age. At some point in time, men have to wake the hell up and realize you are under attack.
I agree with you.
Like, at what point in time do you realize that when you make a certain amount of money, when you live a certain lifestyle, people are coming after you?
It's no argument.
And no matter how fine she is, no matter how pretty her teeth is, no matter how fat her ass is, or how perky her titties are, she's the op. She's after you.
Trey, the only question I'm asking you.
Hang on a second, bruh. Because the issue is that we got this idea about women, and it's ingrained in us since we were kids. That women are sugar and spice and everything nice. It's ingrained in us, especially if you was raised by a single mother. If you was raised by a single mother, you were taught that women are amazing and that everything that you have is because women gave it to you. And you have to treat them a certain way until you wake up one morning, you realize these are some of the worst people on the planet. These are horrible, disgusting, vile, conniving, manipulating people. And they have to. And it's no disrespect to women, but you have to be manipulative because you can't physically make men do anything. So you have to use other means, your sexuality. You have to use it. And I think a lot of guys, they get to this point, they want to get rich, they want to make all this money, right? And they don't learn the game. So you taking that same sugar and spice and everything nice mentality into the wealth realm and getting your clock clean 30 years later and trying to figure out why. Well, because you had a bunch of 20-year-olds running around your 20,000 square foot mansion with her titties out.
Hey, bro,
so they knew what they were doing.
If I got that kind of money when I'm 78, bro.
But you aren't smart enough to realize that you're being set up, sir.
You don't think men
at 78, what they gonna do? Sue him after he's dead? Like, what are you talking about?
Listen, but this is the thing, right? If he hasn't taken care of his money properly and he has an estate, somebody just said they suing dead people. If he has an estate, they're going after the estate.
Answer
the money's still
Trey.
there.
You don't think man's nature has anything to do with that propensity to be stupid about sex? You don't
Okay,
think
so at what point in time do we become smarter than our nature?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Because I get it. I'm 30 years old, and I like to hump on women just like any other man.
I'm gonna land it here. This book's written about the sexual transmutation in men. Napoleon Hill talked about that. He's not the only one. There's a certain level of discernment that men need to get to, and a lot of men still fail when they get there. An 18-year-old in sex is going to approach this hunger different than somebody who's 35. And what I'm saying is the law of sexual transmutation, which is a Napoleon Hill kind of concept, says that when men get to a level of discernment where they can judge the ramifications of taking the box from this woman and not doing it and using that energy to do something more productive, kind of happens in their 30s. Now, we also know that that's just not true either, because we got a slew of men.
I was about to say, like, some of the earlier examples that you guys used were some older men, though. Like, somebody was talking about Hugh Hefner.
It's not a perfect solution.
Speaking of Napoleon, I just saw the film. Interesting guy. I'll just leave it there.
Well, no, it works on Trey. It might work on me. It might work on Mr. Bennett. It might work on JT. It might work on Ray. But we're not even a microcosm of men out there. Yeah, I don't even know if we're a fair example of how actual the rank and file men view their sexuality. That's why we got so much chaos out there. Because men will take box from a woman any way she's going to give it. And that's the majority of men.
What's interesting, Arpain, though, is to your point that you just made, actually, if you think about it, this particular panel and panels that are similar in size or similar in how this is the demographics, it might be a better representation of, because we have someone like yourself who's someone who's been married for a long time, who's however old you are. I don't like to speculate on people's ages. But, okay, so you have a 65-year-old man who's been married for several years. You have a young man like Ray who's really big into business and finance. You have someone like Trey who is prior law enforcement, military, and you have JT. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a whole bunch of your background, but I just mean that we have different kind of representations of men here. So this might actually be, sir.
You're correct, but we're under control.
No, I'm just playing.
Okay, but we're representative of men under control. If you went to Fight Club, I wouldn't say that a panel of guys on Fight Club would be the same.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Well, I think the whole point is for them to be that way, though. Isn't that the point of the show?
Talking about where they are in life and what they think about. Or when you go to a Red Pill Rage channel about what those men think, or you go to a MGTOW channel and what those men think. I mean, this panel might be biased to the fact that we've all, if you listen to Trey speak, right? He's a man of discernment in terms of where it comes to women. Me too, and some other guys. But I don't think we're a representative sample of the general diaspora. We're like the guys who've made it.
Well, I mean, I've always said, I mean, knowing the truth doesn't mean you got to be a bitter bitch about it. That's all I'm saying. Like, you can know what it is. You can navigate how you navigate. I mean, the reality of it is all girl game stops and ends and dies at the feet of a man who doesn't need shit from her. Period. Like, if I want to rock out with you, I can rock out with you. And as soon as I'm ready to cut bait, I'm ready to cut bait because I don't need you. I wasn't expecting shit from you. I don't live my life expecting things. As soon as you, like, the thing that I don't understand is how many men get on here and have to be upset and have to get passionate about stuff when the reality of the situation is, as a logical being, if you're in battle with anything, if you can take away its weapons, it can't fight you. Like, women function on men expecting shit from them and they take advantage. That's how manipulation happens. If I don't expect or need anything from you and I'm just navigating through life, you can't manipulate me because I'm just like, cool, you're navigating a way I don't like. I'm just not going to be around you. I'll remove my presence. Good luck with the next one.
Real quick, guys, let's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, JT, real fast. Let's get Take Heed to the Message. Let's get her involved in the conversation. Sis, we were talking. I had asked the panel basically kind of what their general thoughts were on whether or not you feel like, even if you do feel like Cassie's claims are true, but do you feel like that makes her a victim specifically because she decided to stay for so long? Apparently, there was a point in time where she did leave Diddy or stop dealing with him, and then she kind of went back into a more friendly, I can't think of words, cordial situation with him. Does that seem like the actual actions of a real victim, or do you sympathize with the fact that maybe there's more to the story we don't know? What's your take on it?
So I'm praying that the internet let me be great tonight. I don't know. I'm having some struggle streaming tonight. But my perspective is it's a money grab. It's a money grab. That's my perspective. Because with all these cases coming at one time, they had at least a whole year to do this thing. And then late in the midnight hour, boom, 25,000 cases hit. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Now, we will sit up here and march with our pitchforks and knives and say, we want equal rights. This is what we say.
Uh-oh.
Yes, sis, you have made it so far.
Okay. So in our
go ahead.
In the next breath, we want equal rights. It doesn't make sense to me. Because let me share something with you. It is not only women that this happens to. This happens to young boys that the industry grooms as well, that are rappers as well, that are dancers as well. Okay? I'm not saying that is right. It's wrong. But how do you get all these gifts for years? And now all of a sudden the gifts stop coming in, the money stopped coming in. You are no longer with this man. And now you're ready to say he did all these things to me. Baby, where's the mamas at? Because how did these girls get to these certain places? This is my problem here. Now, you went to these parties. What did you think? Y'all was going to play checkers? This is my problem here. We want to make it seem like the women are all victims, that, you know, this is what it is. She was coerced into all this foolery. How did you get to the party? Who linked you to these people? You know what I'm saying? We just dance around this whole issue. Yes, men have the mindset that pussy is what I want. Men have that mindset. That's what they were born with from birth. Okay? That they have to come here and reproduce. But yet in the next breath, she will say, you used me. But how did you get to the party? Did somebody go to your house and snatch you out your house and you got to the party to meet these men, these powerful men? How did you get on Uncle Luke videos? How did you get there? Come on now. I mean, we got to call a spade a spade. It doesn't make sense.
It reminds me of, and oddly enough, I chipped in right when you started to pause some, sis. So I actually didn't mean to actually interrupt you, but I think it's lagging again. But it reminds me of when you mentioned the whole Uncle Luke thing, because I did forget to mention that one as well when I was listening to the gentleman earlier. If you're a video vixen, like, if you guys don't know, on my podcast, when I'm here on BMU, I'm usually a lot more tame. But on my own podcast, I usually go pretty hard. Specifically because to me, women, I can't stand when people say nonsensical things and expect me to believe it. I don't like when people insult my intelligence. So like when I hear like strippers and OnlyFans models and prostitutes and video vixens, when they're saying these things, I'm like, you know, why do you feel like I'm not smart enough to understand that you chose these professions for the very thing that you're complaining about. You chose it because you are a woman that lacked any sort of guidance, any sort of self-control, any sort of linear thought processes. Everything is fast, quick, and how can I capitalize on somebody else? So it's like, if you're a stripper, it's like, okay, these men work all these hours just to come and blow their paycheck on you to dance around naked in front of them. Like, so you know what you sign up for these things. But I think our Payne kind of mentioned this earlier when he said sometimes we forget the nature of women and men. Those women, no matter how much we try to do it, no matter how much we try to deny our nature, it's not in our nature to be to sleep with a lot of men, to have frivolous sex, to have meaningless sex. When we do that, it takes something out of us. So even in those moments where they're like, hey, I want this come up, I want this money, I want this opportunity to be on a video. Once those men start sleeping with them, the Bill Cosbys of the world, the R. Kellys of the world, the Diddys of the world, and they start to sleep with them and move on about their business, it takes something out of them. And I think that that's why they just kind of have that regret. Like we see like a lot of young college girls do that same thing where they have like a drunken night where they're at a party and they sleep with a guy. Then they're like, oh, he did such and such to me. Like, no, sis, you got drunk, you went upstairs, you got bust down, and you had regret the next morning. Like, let bygones be bygones, you know?
Yeah, but regret is regret, right? When you do something, you're gonna regret it. But my problem is that
You froze again, sis. But you know what? Regret is equal to a man's post-nut clarity. Well, female regret is equivalent to a man's post, except that men who have post-nut clarity decide whether they want to stay or go the next day. Women look for retribution. Where's my gift bag? Where's my gift bag, for what I've done? I gave you something, and where's my barter? And I think, women don't like to put it that way, but they expect something for having sex with a man, even if it's subconscious. I think so.
Oh, did anybody have anything to add to that? JT, what were you going to say earlier?
No, I'm in the chat. Y'all good. I'm in the chat. Somebody just said some crazy shit in the chat. Y'all good.
I was saying, JT, earlier I had started to interrupt you. Do you remember what point you were about to make or where you were about to go with that?
I can't remember where my mind was going. I have no idea now. I kind of lost it. I done lost my spot on that. But,
well, listen, I'll start a new line of questioning then. So now that we've all finally given our thoughts on that initial question. So since right now, I know Take Heed's going to come back, but since I'm currently the only female on this panel, I wanted to ask you men a very candid question. So I'm in the camp of, I know that it's not my place to police men. And so I try to always word what I'm saying carefully so that it doesn't sound like I am. But I do feel like because I am a woman and I recognize our power, like Trey was mentioning, I realize that we do have the power to manipulate situations and destroy men with the box, as you mentioned. So I am in the camp of discipline. I do think that though it is your prerogative to sleep with who you would like, as many people and all these types of things, I don't advise it because I really think that you open yourself up to these types of things, and you don't even have to be a rich man for this type of stuff to happen to you. Sexual allegations, that could just be your average guy that once again sleeps with a woman who has some sort of regret or guilt. And then later on, she hits you with the, oh, I wasn't able to consent because I was too intoxicated, etc. So let's start with JT. Do you think that men should exercise discipline, or do you think it's a man's prerogative to sleep with who he wants? And at the end of the day, the women just need to stop being so manipulative?
Okay, so first thing I would never do is put this onus on women again. I'm done with that. I don't talk to women. They're too fucking hard-headed. With men, it's more about not so much as dick discipline. It's more of having discernment with who you're gonna be sharing your sperm with, or who you're gonna be sleeping with. So I think men should kind of look at what Trey keeps. He hollering from the top of his lungs. He's, stop being stupid. Stop putting your money. Stop putting your assets. Don't freely, because most of these dudes are not sleeping with women with contraceptives, i.e., condoms. They're just raw dogging, and they're giving their sperm, away. They're giving their assets away, or the little assets that they have, their freedom, by having no discernment. Dick discipline is not really telling a guy anything, because you're telling a man not to be a man when you say to have dick discipline. It doesn't really compute to us that way, because we have a strong urge to have sex. The thing is that we have to have discernment with that. You get all the sex you want if you actually use that type of discernment. You got. I just don't believe that a man, especially in these day and time right now, can just say, okay, the first woman that he gets with, I'm gonna marry her and it's gonna be good. Nope, can't do that. It's not gonna happen anymore. So we have to just use this term. I'm never gonna say that, but I'm not gonna put the onus on women anymore. They just gonna have to deal with it. They are hit it, they're gonna have a soft ass. That's just what it is. With the men, it's gonna be the same thing. If you don't use a certain discipline, first and foremost, you should be more of trying to build yourself. This is why we have so many men out here that, they don't even have a set career or a job that's making enough money for them to take care of themselves, let alone them giving money to the damn courts for child support, let alone them, have to pay for a baby that may not be theirs, because they're not even using discernment when it comes down to paternity. Most of these dudes don't even fight for paternity to establish paternity, right? Because they're scared of the courts. Most of these dudes are scared of you, especially if they, has some type of run-in with the law or some type of fear. You have no idea how many men have a fear of going to court. This is why you would have so many men that have, something as small as a traffic ticket. They won't go to court to get it fixed. They won't even go to the K page to pay it. But yet they're scared to go. And this is how a lot of women, they figure it out. You on probation, you on parole, your ass, you got a warrant for your arrest. If you got any dealings with the court and you're in a relationship with a woman, you have no business being in a relationship with her. Period. Because guess what she's gonna do? She's gonna use that to her advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all get into an argument. Not only will she kick you out, but she gonna call the cops on your ass right after she done smacked you upside your head 3 and 4 times. This is why it's like, no, I'm not gonna talk to the women. When we talk to the men, we'll say, okay, well, you just need to have a better relationship with consequences. That's
so
all.
your main thing is that the men should be able to sleep with who they want. They just need to practice safer sex, basically, to wrap it up. Is that essentially what you were saying?
No, they need to use discernment. What I mean by that is that that woman should not qualify. Every woman should not qualify for you to be sleeping with them, because there's a potential of you getting them pregnant. So that's why I say they use discernment when they're dating. You don't have to sleep with every woman. Sometimes you need to probably figure it out, especially during these times right now. You need to figure out who the hell this woman is before you start doing it. It's that serious now. I think it was serious back then. It's just way more serious now. Your ass go to jail when you don't pay child support. You go to jail when a girl get mad at you and say that you raped her, or you groped her, or you put your hands on her. So many dudes that's in jail right now, they may not be innocent, but they're not guilty.
So yeah, I guess that's where I got confused, because you specifically made a distinction between when I said de-discipline versus your use of the word discernment. And I guess from what I was thinking, that's exactly how I would describe it too. Just the idea that just be more mindful of who you're sleeping with, because even if you are using condoms or whatever else, STDs and pregnancy are not the only things that you need to be protecting yourself from when getting involved with a woman today. She could be secretly recording you. She could record you when you go to sleep or something. And maybe or something that I don't know if men consider. You guys know the rapper Trouble. I don't know if you guys knew, okay. So it maybe was either earlier this year or last year. He's an Atlanta rapper. But basically, I guess he went over this girl's house and, he slept with her or whatever. And he was in the bed, like still in the bed with her. And her guy basically barged in and he shot and killed him, like just right there in the bed. And so I think that that's something that men don't consider also, when it's like when you first meet a lady or whatever, you have to be conscious of all those things. And so to JT's point, just use the discernment, guys, because I understand it's maybe not in your nature to turn down cat, but in these days, what would we all say? We have to adapt. We have to adapt to the changing times. And if you don't, you're going to get left behind and you're going to find yourself in family court. So Ray, what's your take?
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But real quick, the reason why I think we use discernment as opposed to just dick discipline, because I look at saying to a man to have dick discipline like saying abstinence. You got to talk about discernment, because you can go from there to tell them what is at stake, right? You need to have discernment because this is what you got to lose if you're loose with your seed and your Johnson and all that kind of stuff. And just because some people say, you have to have dick discipline and they leave it at that. That's not a good enough message. You got to tell somebody how they're going to get their ass raked over the coals if they make a mistake. And so discernment means you can go a little, for me, it means you need to go a little bit more in depth into why it's a mistake to just be random with your Johnson, And so that conversation is a better conversation, it has more body to it. It's better than just telling a girl, don't have premarital sex. Okay, great, mom. You got 6 kids from 8 baby daddies, that kind of stuff, So that's all I'm going to say. I'll end it there.
No, I actually think that's a good point. And I'm glad that you guys drew that distinction for me so I can understand why that verbiage doesn't seem to apply as more widely as just saying discernment. So I totally agree. Ray, what's your opinion on, do you think that men should exercise, whether it's discernment or de-discipline, or how do you think that men should go about battling their nature versus these current times that we're in?
I mean, I guess it depends on which men we're talking about. The ones that have problems picking up chicks, those are honestly the ones. But dudes ain't gonna stop smashing. I mean, the real question is, what do women offer at this point and this age besides box? Because now that we've made this whole feminism trope a thing, it's like on the one side, obviously the men have the discernment, but the only thing that I would say is, if you're going to be out here in these streets, be the top 20% of men. So that way you can choose. Then you have the option to have discernment. The reason that men don't have discernment is because most of them are functionally invisible. So they're not getting any, which means that they don't have the ability to turn down anything. If you get nothing to begin with and you starving to death and you see a crumb on the floor, you eating the crumb. Let's be honest. These dudes are eating the crumb. That's just what's gonna happen. There's not gonna be a discernment. It's just not. The only man who gets the ability to be discerning is the man who has multiple options of who he could stick his D in. That's just an honest statement. If you discern, if you only got one option, what is there to discern? I'm being, that's an honest question. If you only got one piece of tail. What are you discerning?
But reckless, this is my thing. I don't think it's that scarce of dudes that's not getting boxed, bro.
We
It's
have
a whole
the highest number of men making it into their 30s still being virgins than ever.
A lot of men, JT. It's a lot of men.
Ever, JT. Dudes are literally running over women in crowds. They're not getting laid so much.
Maybe it is in the Gen Z, right? But I know a lot of millennials, and I know a hell of a lot of goddamn X, and especially I still know some damn boomers that's out here. I don't see it
but JT, think about this though. Think about this. The boomers and the millennials are where at in our lives, right?
Hold on, let me just explain this.
What you trying to say?
I've been in family court.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in family court. I'm from Detroit. You can sit in there for 4 hours, bro. There's 120 doggone cases gonna come your way. And there's a bunch of men that has ruined their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Ruined their lives with 4 and 5 women on each docket. I don't see it being where it's just not enough dudes. When we say use discernment, I still think dudes got to use discernment. I don't think that women, because if we had women that were just using dudes and wanted to fuck a dude because he had money and all that, you won't have a lot of these neighborhoods where these regular working dudes got their lives, they got half of their check taken. It's a lot of these dudes. It's just not enough of them standing up for their shit. When it comes down to using discernment, they have to use discernment. That's why when it comes down, dig discipline don't say shit. Discernment says a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times discernment is, what type of woman are you looking at? You better leave that motherfucker alone. Look at her mama. Look at her aunties. Look at the family that she's in.
But JT, okay, I'll give you that.
Lies, man.
But my question is, when you in these docket courts with the 5 women on the docket, are they 5 quality women, or is this dude putting together pennies trying to make a dime?
Let me tell you, I'm glad you asked that. It'll be out of 5 of them, it'll be 2 of them, dog. They got good jobs.
Okay.
1 job. The other 3, yeah, they may have another 4 or 5 baby daddies.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's not just a small smidget of these dudes. It's a lot of them in regular ass neighborhoods with regular women. Now, the thing is that the dudes are fucking. You look in your family and you will see. You got all these. Look, just 5 years ago, they almost had a movement of guys that was going to fight back with this court system shit.
Yeah.
Until Me Too came. Once the Me Too shit started, fuck it. We gonna deal with something else.
That's terrible. That ain't right.
I'm gonna stay with baby mamas.
Well, here's the thing too. Like you guys mentioned something about on the topic of discernment. And Ray, I was typing you a message in the chat, but I'll just go ahead and say it. I know the stats that you're talking about. With this whole, men are having less sex than ever. But I just feel like those stats must be representing, no offense to anybody, but white men. I don't think black men are having trouble having sex. And the reason being is because I know black women are putting out at an alarming rate. So for you to expect me to believe that black men are having a hard time getting sex, that's just very hard for me to believe.
I expect you to believe the fact that most black men don't have children.
Dude, can I I
mean, either we got the best pullout game or the worst pullout game, and historically, what we've been told is we just be putting babies in people. So
I want to add in, but listen. So, Sister Mac, there's a bell curve. Mm-hmm. The top men, 10%, are smashing who they want, and the lower 10-15% of the Pookie and Ray Rays, because they have their aesthetics, they're getting a lot of action. But there's statistical data that shows between 18 and 30, a majority of black men ain't getting no trim. There's a lot of men, period, but black men are a part of that. So the sisters might be stroking everybody they want to stroke because that's a woman's prerogative. But that doesn't mean every man has access to it.
Right.
And a lot of those women are going up the same.
So the women are the ones who get to be discerning, Jay. Think about that. Like, women get to choose who they allow to have access because you're in, like, Jay, I would be willing to bet you that you being off the market, you got more dudes in your DMs than I have chicks in my DMs.
I don't doubt that, because of course women get approached more. Like, that's just a thing. Like, women just get approached.
That just happens. That's natural.
So every time a woman can only get impregnated by one dude. But like, if the women are sexually liberated and out here, then they get to pick who they're selecting. So if you got a bunch of options, and it goes the same for men, that's the reason I say only men with options can be discerning. You have to have something to be discerning against, Jay. If you got 80 dudes and you select the dude that you've chosen to give yourself to, you go, I want this one. You had options. It wasn't like that was the only dude walking down the street that paid you some attention. You get to be discerning. Men with options get to be discerning. A dude who wants to engage in having sex that only one chick a year gives him attention, he gonna take that piece every time.
So right, but that's
his homies can't save him. He gonna fight his friends to get it.
But I'm not. We're arguing a different point. Like, I don't disagree with what you're saying at all about the whole men having their pick of the litter once they reach a certain status or etc. But I don't agree with your point where you're saying you said something to the effect of basically it sounded like you were trying to say that women aren't sleeping with, you made it seem like certain men don't have their pick of the litter, but we know that to an extent that can't really be the case, because we know so many proverbial Pookies and Ray Rays are baby daddies, that they have impregnated a lot of women, some of whom are bad, as y'all might say, big booties and pretty faces and whatever else. So I think even our lowest hanging fruit have the opportunity to have sex with women, because our women are so undisciplined with their box and with being able to say, okay, this loser dude does not deserve my sex, but we still do it anyway by and large. And I think that our inundation of single parent households, specifically when these women are having babies by our lowest hanging fruit, I think that shows
the statistics of black men who have children doesn't match up to what you're saying, because that's still not all of them. You're talking about a specific percentage of black men who are making all these babies. I don't have a kid.
Let me answer that, because I know what she's saying. Let me answer that. See, because sister, you're still wrong. Because even the Pookie and Ray Rays can be aesthetically pleasing to women. That's why so many women want men in jail. I'm trying to tell you that even with what you just said doesn't account for the significant portion of men who don't get laid, because they might be fat, they might be broke, they might be this. Women, they're invisible to women. So when we use the term Pookie and Ray Ray, that doesn't mean those guys are not aesthetically, sexually pleasing. They might not have money, they might not have status, but if a man is a gang leader, right, and he has status and stature, women want to stroke him. So all I'm trying to say is we gotta broaden our horizons on how men get laid. The Pookie and Ray Ray with 10 and 15 different baby mamas, he might not be a guy who I would put on the pedestal as a guy who's going to be any good to the black diaspora. But there's a lot of women who might look like that guy. But that doesn't say that there's not a lot of men who don't get laid. Even with
I don't think that you guys see enough, what do they call them? The world star hip hop videos of these baby showers with these dudes that be toe up from the flow up. They be dusty, shoes be leaning over to the side. They be having bad teeth, poor hygiene, and they look a mess, and they still got somebody knocked up. So I'm sorry. I just have to respectfully disagree. But But Trey, you have been waiting patiently, and then of course I'm gonna get my sister Take Heed's message. Trey, so in your opinion, do men need to practice more discipline, or how would you address this issue of men battling between their nature as being more sexual beings versus this current state where we know that women are truly weaponizing sex against men? How do you think that you guys should handle it?
I can't wait to.
J Mac, let me ask you a question. Do you know who Steph Curry is?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button.
Would you tell Steph Curry to stop shooting the three?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because he makes a lot of them.
He makes a lot of them. Would you say he's pretty good at it?
Yes.
Would you say that he may have been born to shoot the three because his daddy was a really good 3-point shooter?
It would appear that he has good basketball genes, yes.
I can't explain to you, J Mac, why I have 17 times the amount of testosterone in my body than you do. I can't explain that to you. The science behind it doesn't make any sense. I can't explain to you that every night that when I wake up in the morning, my testosterone has leveled out and I feel a certain way in the morning. Fellas know what I'm talking about. I can't explain to you why it is that way. What I can tell you is that maybe I was put here for a reason. Maybe I put here on this earth to do one thing, and maybe I'm pretty damn good at it. Like Steph Curry is good at shooting the three. And so this idea to me of you need to be disciplined about how you do that, it's like telling Steph Curry, hey man, no more 3-pointers. You know, Steve Kerr tried that when he first started. He thought he was going to be able to sort of control how Steph played. He quickly realized he couldn't do that and that you got to go let Steph be Steph. What he's learned was to teach Steph how to protect himself, and how to be a better player, be smarter. We are never going to get men to be more disciplined with their dick. It ain't happening. But what we can teach them is how to be safer, smarter about what they do. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we're all grown on this panel. Collectively, we have probably had sex thousands of times. There aren't thousands of children. So this idea that, oh, well, you could have a kid. Of course you could. Every time Steph shoots a three, it could go in. But the truth of the matter is that the majority of the shots that Steph shoots, he misses. And the majority of times that people have had sex, they didn't have a child. The majority of the times that you had sex, you didn't catch an STD either. So I think what we've done is we sort of do this fear-mongering thing and say, hey, be scared of this. No. What you need to do is, a lot of you dudes don't want to wear condoms, and y'all are nuts. You're crazy for not wanting to put a condom. Especially considering that you are in heightened risk of catching an STD or STI without it. So the first thing we got to do is start to teach these guys to be smarter. I got a 23-year-old cousin that graduated from one of the best engineering schools on the East Coast and now works for NASA. You know what the first thing I told him when he graduated? Wear a damn condom, because you finna have a whole lot of box come at you. He's 23 years old. He's making about $170,000 a year being an engineer for NASA. It's coming, bruh. Put a condom on. I'm not going to tell him not to do it. It's in his body. I can't explain it. I don't know why when a beautiful woman walks by me, I get these thoughts in my head that I want to do some things. I don't know why. I can't explain that to you. It's just the nature. But what I can explain to you is that if she gives me the opportunity just to have sex, I know what's coming out of my pocket to get put on. I told you guys a story before. I dated a woman, and I wanted to put a condom on. And she looked back at me and said, "What are you doing?" What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm putting a condom on. No, you don't need that. Yes, I do. But I also knew something else was up too. Good night. It was nice meeting you. I'm out. Hardest thing I ever had to do. If y'all would have seen her, you would understand why it was difficult for me to walk out of that room. But I had to do what I had to do. I think we have to start to teach. We have to start to teach the younger guys that nobody's trying to control you for the amount of sex you're having. We're trying to get you to play the game smarter so that you don't end up in bad spots like what JT's talking about at family court. I've also been to family court. And bro, it is a trip. If you've never gone to family court, just go and sit in the room. It's a trip to see the amount of dudes that keep Some guys are I know one guy he had 2 cases. He was in there twice in the same day. I don't even know how that happens. So I think we need to start teaching guys to be smarter. But this idea of telling them to refrain from it, I think that takes away the true male nature, which is where you start to get a lot more violence from men. Mm-hmm. It's a release. It's in their body. You got to get this out. There's a reason why our semen regenerates. I can make more. I can shoot some out today. I'll get some more tomorrow. I'll be all right. But I think telling the guys, no, you need to control it. No, you need to be safe. And that's what we're not sending the message on.
I have to say, because I can tell that something I said has led y'all to believe that I'm telling men to not have sex, and I am not saying that. In fact, on my podcast, I'm always talking about being a realist, and I do consider myself to be a realist. And realistically, I know grown people are going to have sex. That's why I'm always like, hey, find the best ways to kind of navigate through it to where we're not screwing our lives up in the process. So I totally agree that to ask men to abstain is obviously a bit extreme. The only men in the world who do that are supposed to be priests and monks. But we know that one of those groups of people, they only abstain from sex with consenting adults. But anyway,
that was a mistake asking them to do that in the first place.
It is. That whole concept is crazy.
I make a quick point. Okay. I need to bounce. Can I just make a quick point?
Oh,
I need to bounce.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bennett.
All right, so I just wanted to say, I mean, obviously, I've explained on this podcast before, the main reason my desire to get married was to have sex, and I did abstain for over 3.5 years before I found my wife and we got married. So I'm saying certainly it's a tool in the kit, absolutely, So I don't say okay, abstinence doesn't work. I mean, some people employ it, but again, I'm a realist, like people are here are saying, but I do understand that as I said, it is a natural urge. But the thing is, I mean, today you can get yourself in trouble, and the D wasn't even involved, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you say this, like, what happened to Michael Irvin? He didn't even make any contact with the woman, and he's getting himself in trouble for something that he allegedly said to the woman. So this is going beyond just the D or whatever. You're just committing the act. I mean, if you touch someone the wrong way, you look at them the wrong way or whatever, a lot of things can happen. So I definitely think, again, discernment, I think, is key. With guys, if you can wait, look, I'm not going to tell a guy, look, I want to abstain. I want to wait for marriage. I'm not going to, prevent a guy from doing that. That might be the 1% of guys who do that. But, but I think all these kids are in the box. But I think the overall message, what I'm hearing is folks need to protect themselves and be smart about the choices that you're making. The places that you're at, if you're going to be a woman, especially if you're in a corporate setting or whatnot. Be very careful how you move, one-on-ones or whatnot, going to lunch, group lunch, whatever, look, I don't let women ride with me. I just don't. I'll meet everybody at the restaurant or whatever, and we'll get together and have a good time, and then, go back our separate ways, whatever. But I don't get in cars with people. I just don't do a lot of one-on-one stuff because anything could be said or taken the wrong way. So I think men in general, you just have to be wise on how you move in all circumstances where you're talking about being one-on-one with a female at any time. So that's my 2 cents on it. But I have to run panel. But again, great show tonight. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys on Friday night. All right, you guys take care.
Thank you again, Mr. Bennett. Great take.
So can I jump in real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry for all the struggle streaming tonight. It's been crazy. My take on this whole thing, there was a influencer, right, that I follow on Instagram. He said, my brothers, in 2024, we raw dogging it. That's what he said. He said in 2024, we raw dogging it. And I'm going to share with you what he was trying to say, but everybody, it flew over their head. He trying to say you should be with a main chick that you have been, you know what I'm saying? You should wife this woman. This is what he's trying to say. But they let this thing fly over their head. They will be saying to women, oh, if I can't raw dog you, then we'll, you know what I'm saying? Then I can't mess with you. But he's trying to tell them in a comedic way that you need to be with one woman. That's what he's trying to say. But they have missed this whole thing. They will run around talking about they need to raw dog it. They can't use no protection. This is, Lord. He was trying to be funny, but it's going to backfire later when people talk to him. Oh, you told me to raw dog it, because this is what's going to happen. This new generation, they do foolery, but they get it from the older generation too. Okay, so now what I wanted to say is that a man, we want men to learn how to curb their appetite, right? We want them to learn how to curb their appetite. But guess who teaches them how to curb their appetite? It's us. We are the teachers. We are to teach them how to curb their appetite, because we are the gatekeepers of sex. So if you spreading your legs to Tommy, Jason, Michael, there's no discernment, because they know Tommy, Jason, and Michael gonna get it. They all gonna be able to smash it. So we are the gatekeepers. We want to sit up here and we want to say, oh, men don't have discernment. They don't know how to do things. You know what I'm saying? They just want to mess with everybody. But mama, you allow them to, because you're the one who's spreading your legs to everybody. So if we want to call a spade, we got to call both spades at the same time. Women have to understand that you're not supposed to open your legs for everybody. And I'm going to share with you something about what Ray said earlier when I was quietly waiting because I was struggle streaming. He said that there are a lot of men who are not getting this sexual healing. And I'm going to share something with you. He's right. He's right. And I'm going to share with you why. Most of us are having babies by the same man. Most of us are having children by the same man. And I'm going to share something else with you. It doesn't matter what he looks like. Pookie or Ray Ray, it don't matter. If his mouth game, y'all know I said this a couple weeks ago. If a man can capture a woman's mind, he can capture her body. If he can capture her mind, he got a body. I don't care how he look. He could be the most dingiest hood so-and-so in the world, but if his mouth game is tight, she gone. She's gone. That is it. Okay? She's gone. So that's the whole issue right there. And I'm gonna say one more thing too. Some women have babies by Pookie and Ray Ray so they don't have to take on no accountability, so that they can blame everything on Pookie and Ray Ray, so that they can go and just have this baby and have nobody to answer to. You know what I'm saying? Like she'll go and say, well, I do what I want to do because my baby daddy don't do what he's supposed to do. So she'll raise the child any kind of way, because Pookie and Ray Ray not going to ride for you. He not, because he wasn't taught to ride for you. He didn't have no daddy. So his excuse is, I ain't had no daddy, so this kid ain't going to have no daddy. That's the excuse that he used to make himself feel good at night. So now this is why they all sleep with Pookie and Ray Ray. Some Pookie and Ray Rays look good. Okay? Some Pookie and Ray Rays look good. And some don't. But once you get that woman's mind, you can make her do anything. Okay? You can make her do anything. And this is the thing that we're missing. Just like with all this essay cases, right? All these essay cases. If you look at it, once you can get a woman's mind, she will do anything. And I'm going to share with you how all these powerful men got their mind. All they needed was this. That's how they got their mind. All I need is this. So at the same time, the young woman who is call herself thinking somebody is playing her. She's thinking, oh, he's playing me. But she's playing him at the same time, because she knows he wants her body. So since he wants my body, he gonna pay. You gonna pay that change, baby, because you want my body. And this is the thing that, and then I'm gonna share with y'all, this gonna hurt a little bit. But for the old mamas back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, that taught the 70s and 80s girls, girl, you better get that change. If you're going to go lay up with somebody, you better make sure you get that change. I'm not saying all mamas, because I got to put that disclaimer out there.
There's a lot of them though.
But it's a lot of them who told their young girls, because why? All that nonsense was going around in the 70s. You don't need no men. So mama got all these kids and got the older girl who looked like a Coca-Cola bottle. And so now she telling mama, well, I'm dancing at Candy's Club, mama. And she tell her, oh, well, I want you to be safe. She don't tell her, I want you to go to college. Because she knows she's struggling. She could barely get through and pay that rent and pay that light and put food on the table. So you encourage this girl to do foolery. And not saying all mamas, but some do. Encourage them to do foolery. And now when the mama get a little older, the girl getting a little older, she done had 3 and 4 kids and she's strung out. Now grandma is saved. So now grandma will come and disgrace this girl, but she helped this girl do this foolery because she planted the seed. Instead of her telling this child, I don't want you to do this. I don't care what we going through. We gonna make it by, baby. I need you to go to school. No, we not doing that. We not doing that. So women are in control of sex. They are in control of this. It is us that teaches the men discernment. It can't be them teaching it because they were born with this. This is their problem. So when you see people sit up here and they'll say, I haven't touched a woman in years. Have you jerked off? I haven't touched a woman in years. I practice discernment, but did you jerk off? Because if you jerked off, that means you didn't practice discernment. That's my take on it. I'm done.
So I think that an interesting thing is listening to what Take Heed said and what everyone else has said. It sounds like we could combat this problem by, I hate to use the word weaponizing because that's not what I actually mean, but more so leveraging what we have that the other party wants. I can only speak from the woman's perspective if in that way, but I know that women leveraging sex in a positive way is a good thing. If you know that if a man who sees you out in public approaches you, obviously he thinks you are attractive. Specifically, he thinks you are sexually attractive. So you already know right there that this man wants your body. But you don't just typically want him for sex. Typically, women, we want men for other things. We want y'all for companionship. We want somebody to be laid up with. We want somebody to answer the phone we call, tell us we pretty, tell us good morning. So if you want those things from him, you have to leverage that. Likewise, on the men's end, it's kind of like, hey, maybe don't lead with your wallets, and like some guys like to be flashy and this kind of thing with women. I don't have an issue with men taking women on dates and things like that. I don't equate that with tricking. But a lot of men kind of do basically put a big stamp on their foreheads to say, hey, I'm a trick because of the way that they approach the situation. So I think that if we just all kind of say, okay, I have this thing, I have a powerful tool. As a man, you have your means and resources. And as a woman, you have what's between your legs. So just leverage it.
Okay,
Jay, we all tricks.
Let me ask you a question, though. Before
We
you
all
go
tricks, Jay.
No, let me ask you a question. I'm not going to say any more. What do you mean? How do you benevolently leverage your sexuality for a man? What does that look like? Tell me how does that manifest itself?
It's been a while, Jay. You got to walk me through it. It's been like 30 years.
Let me answer the question.
Well, yeah, you said how would I benevolently do that? It's just an idea of, because let's get one thing out the way, right? I started off this thing by saying I'm a realist. Realistically, men aren't the only people who like to have sex. Like, obviously, if a woman likes the presence of a man, she'll want to have sex too. But if you can abstain, if you can hold that back for a little bit, then you can potentially make yourself a more viable candidate for this man. Because if you do put out very early, then sometimes the man might be like, look, I kind of got what I needed. What y'all call it earlier, the post-nut clarity. And you're like, hey, this girl ain't even as cute as I thought she was. Or she don't even, whatever. And so you might just lose him right then. So you say, hey, I'm going to hold out.
No.
Before you go further, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but there's some mistakes in there. Right? Because what you're really saying is that we have this transactional situation set up between men and women, which is not all bad, right? Because you're talking about the nature of things. Where men used to ask women to marry them, part of that was to have access to her sex. Because the woman had virtue, because there was some expectation that woman was virtuous. Now, in 2023, that level of virtuosity is not necessarily there. So when you leverage your sex against a man and he knows that John down the street was busting at cheeks for a chicken dinner, he ain't really that excited for having to pay a higher price. And so it's not the same dynamics as it used to be. So I'm hearing what you're saying, and I don't disagree, because that kind of bartering system always goes on. But I'm gonna end it there. Go ahead, Ray.
No. Back in the day, it had nothing to do with no damn virtue. Stop.
Right. Trey's right there.
This had everything to do with the fact that men are territorial, and we like knowing that nobody else touched her. That's what we like.
Like I just said.
We like that's virtue has to do with morals. Moral standard or moral code. You're trying to overcomplicate it. This is simple. Men like women that we know other men ain't been with. It's just that simple. It's territorial. We piss on the tree. That's what we do as men. We don't want to piss on the same tree that all the other men done pissed on too.
I wasn't as
we want our own tree.
Trey wants his own tree. I was gonna say it depends on the man. I agree with you, Jay, in the sense if you're just going after an average dude that's probably invisible to most other dudes anyways, because he'll sit there and wait. If you're talking about a dude who's got options, and you're talking about I'm gonna be the one chick who's not having sex with you, bet. But the chick who is having sex with me is probably going to get the relationship. Just being straight up honest. Like if I'm dating, especially if I'm spending my money, like if you're going to pay for all the dates, word. But if I'm in a dating pool and there's a chick who's trying to put me through all the rigmarole to prove herself to somebody who, honestly, in my situation, I don't need you for shit else but sex. Sorry. Like, I mean, most men who have their shit together are not going, I stuck with her. Or if they do see that value, they're fucking other chicks while they're waiting to fuck you. Like, that's just the reality of the situation.
I mean, I don't discredit that part of it. I think that is a risk that you run as a woman, where if you do choose to abstain from sex, and I'm not saying like, first of all, okay, the obvious thing is technically you, as a woman especially, you should only be having sex with your spouse. But in obviously we know that that's not realistic. So I'm looking at this from a more realistic lens. You might say, okay, if I just met this guy 2 days ago, what sense does it make for me to give my body to him? And if he is the type of man that would discredit me as a dating option because I don't put out in 48 hours, then maybe that's not the type of guy that's long-term relationship material anyway. Let's be honest, gentlemen. I'm no shade to anybody here. Sometimes you guys' talking points sound like the type of men who really aren't interested in long-term relationships anyway. You guys talk about not needing women. There are no good women. So you sound like the type of men who just want transactional relationships anyway.
Well, no.
They all transactional.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, all relationships are transactional.
Ray De Niro is. He the one to be saying that. He hates women.
No, I don't
Hey,
hate women.
listen,
I like
listen,
women, but I
listen.
mean the
Listen,
honest
Mac, that's not
to God's
necessarily
truth
true.
of it is.
No, he said Trey.
Oh yeah, I was about to say
Let me
Trey.
put this
Trey hates
to you
women.
this
Our names
way.
are similar,
Let me
but like
let me
Hey,
put
now,
this
one who
this
hates
way.
women. Like I'll hate women.
hold on.
Let me just say this real quick, though,
You're not going
Sister
to accuse me
Mac.
of
Let me
something.
just say
Let me
this.
defend myself.
Every
Hang
single
on,
woman,
You weren't
every
accused.
single woman with a
You
man.
weren't accused.
Well, hold on. Trey,
Hang
wait,
on.
wait,
You
you
weren't
just spoke, right?
accused. You weren't accused, right, Arpain? I
What-
do
what-
not. I want to be very clear about something because there's always this thought process that anytime you are critiquing women or you have something that where you're not kissing her ass and telling her that she's full of rainbows and stars, that you somehow hate her. No, I am hip to what women do. I am hip to your game. I am hip to your manipulation, your conniving in vile ways. I understand you in most cases better than you understand yourself. I know what makes you tick. I know what makes you tingle. I know that for some women, money is all you need. I get whatever I want from you. I know for some women, you're going to tell me exactly what I need to say to you to have you end up in my bed at the end of the night. You're going to do the work for me. I know this about women. I don't hate women at all. I love women, but I know how y'all get down. And I know at the end of the day, you guys always have two cards you can pull. You can pull the sex card or you can pull the victim card. You can always rely on those two because that's the way society has set it up. So I understand that. And I have decided to put myself in a situation where you're not going to get me, baby. You're not going to get me. You may be able to get somebody else, but you're not going to get me.
You know what? We need a single man in the goddamn
You know what? I'm going to share something with you. I think Trey has been down this road and it was painful to him. And so
well, Trey is just on the set. He just signed up for the second season of Gigolos.
He just one of those men that think he has been railroaded and he has learned from it. And I'm gonna share something with you. Sometimes it takes that. It takes you to get railroaded to learn from it. Because I'm going to share something with you. Women are amazing when it comes to what they want and how they need to get it. Even when we go to court, we immediately know if we start crying and tell the judge that we could barely take care of the child, the judge gonna hit the baby father with about $500-600 a week. We know this. We know this. Sometimes you will even have judges. You will even have judges that will sit up there and ask you how much you want, just like that. How much you want. They won't even go into detail of how much he give it. You know how much he bring home. They will ask you what you want. Now, I'm gonna share something with you. I'm gonna share something with you. The thing is that we have been conditioned in the Western world to do whatever we want. We are free to walk around and be however we want to be. But when a man begins to touch you, because you naked, okay? Because this is what the Western world allows. You naked. So if he touch you, I'm violated. You start crying. I'm violated. But you walked around this man naked. So he touched you. But the first thing you will cry, oh, I feel violated. And what will happen? All the white horsemen will come to your aid because he touched me. But nobody is critiquing a woman and saying, why the hell are you walking around here naked? They just saying she is the one who is the victim. That's the same thing like you take a child and you put a whole bunch of cookies in a cookie jar. You tell this child who can climb the table, don't touch these cookies that's in the cookie jar. And the child looking at you like, this is my mama that lost her mind because I could see the cookies. Why can't I touch them? So now when the child finally get up there to the table and take one of the cookies out, now you beat the child because they took the cookie out. This is the same thing that our young women are using, or older women are using, that they have been using. And the Western world claps for this. They clap for this when they use it. And yes, women are the biggest voters. We are in the Western world. We are. So that's why most of the laws are critiqued to us. But if we want to be fair and you say you want equal rights, then it should be equal all across the board. How they go and take a survivor's act, I just want to touch on this. I know we already finished it, but how do you take a survivor's act that was supposed to be for young children and you take it and you add women? You add women to the survivor act. Let me share something with you. When a child is being touched, everybody could get it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody could get it. This is wrong. But when you go and add women, who told y'all to do that? I mean, come on now. Who told you to do that? This was supposed to be to save children, so children can get their justice. But now we done added women, and you got all these cases flew in at one time. You got all these cases flowing at one time. That's just my issue. I understand that we have women that have been abused in some type of way. I understand that. But we're going to have to call a spade a spade. If somebody done something to you on Thursday, then Thursday you should be reporting it. It shouldn't be that you got to wait 20 years. You felt like you were in danger, but now you don't feel like you're in danger. That's
right. What's the difference between today and 5 days ago, a week ago? And actually, Trey, I know I told you I would let you go, but I just wanted to throw in this little one point. To what Take Heed is talking about with the laws, this goes way back to an earlier point by R. Payne that I did agree with, that the panel was not in favor of for some reason, but I did agree with this idea that I think these laws are purposely targeting men, and I think there's a reason for it. Now, not to get too much in my conspiracy bag, but I do think that this country in general is under attack by some outside forces, and it has been infiltrated from within as well to essentially weaken like our population in general, like to take all the power that once belonged to men and to usurp that power from them so that we are more susceptible to attack. It's either the effeminization of the men, or it's taking all of their resources through family courts and to just kind of put them in this desolate state of mind. Men are committing self-deletions at these high rates. It's just a very kind of dark, dismal state for American men today, of course, specifically Black men, but I do think it's across racial lines as well. So I think that to your point, Take Heed, I don't think any of this stuff is accidental. They knew that law, once they expanded it to adults, they knew that it would be expanded to women. They knew that women would be retroactively going back to accuse men of feeling her up one day at a bar or something, and of course smearing their reputation, further kind of making a jest of men. Like, do you guys kind of feel that like men are kind of being put in jest? Like, even though we know Diddy's a complete lunatic, but the minstrel show that they're putting on with this, like, it seems like they're picking Jamie Foxx, Cuba Gooding Jr. I forgot the man name that fast, y'all. Who we talking about? Who I just say, y'all? Diddy, yes. These are all Black men. Yeah. And so I don't think that that's by accident either. But Trey, did you want to divulge a little bit about a time that you were accused of something?
Yeah. The reason why I'm so passionate about this particular topic, and the reason why I'm emotional, as men want to say I'm emotional about this topic, is because SA almost ruined my life. A false accusation almost ruined my life when I was in the Air Force and I was stationed in Turkey. And a woman who was upset because I used this discernment, I used this discipline to not talk to her. She got jealous and upset, and she made up a story, and they believed her. And it took me months. I want to paint the scene for y'all real quick, and I won't go long. When I joined the Air Force, I made E4 6 months earlier than what I was supposed to. I'm an extremely ambitious man. I made E5 the first time I tested for it, and I made E6 the first time I tested for it. I was on the path of what they call fast burners. I was supposed to make E9 in 14 years. That's extremely fast. It usually takes a little bit longer than that. I was working my behind off in the Air Force to be the best that I could be. And I had a woman who was attracted to me. And it wasn't that she wasn't attractive at all, but I just wasn't interested in her. I was interested in somebody else. She got upset about it. and she made up a story. And the only thing that saved me, because they assumed I was guilty. With this personality that I have, oh yeah, you did it. This personality that will tell you to go fuck off, yeah, you did it. They sent 2 sergeants to my room, suited and booted. When I say M4s, pistols, like I was going to fight them to come get me so that they can explain to me what I was being charged with. Do you think that after this whole thing was over, they sent them same 2 sergeants to say, hey, we made a mistake? The only thing that saved me was that her friend went in and did the right thing. It was also a woman. Went in and told the first sergeant, she's making this up. This is not true. I would say, well, how do you know? Because she told me. She was upset that in that same particular night that I had turned her down, she saw me later at the NCO club dancing with another woman who would eventually become my girlfriend. And she got mad about it. She made up this whole story. So yes, I am a little bit emotional about this because this shit can ruin a man's life. I was almost on my way to Fort Leavenworth with no evidence. None. I was almost on my way. So yeah, I am. It just touches me a little bit. Sorry, pause. But I'm just being honest. This is a problem because women can come up with these stories and people will believe them, even in institutions where you're supposed to be deemed innocent until proven guilty. This is a real thing. The only thing that saved me is that her friend did the right thing. Her friend did the right thing and said she is lying and provided evidence of them having a conversation through text messages and through, well, back then it was Facebook. So they had like the little Facebook pop-up. She provided the evidence and saying, look, she's lying. She was mad. She's upset. She's in her feelings. She made this whole thing up. Do you think that they came and told me, hey, by the way, we're dropping the charges? You know how I found out? I found out through a friend of mine who had overheard the conversation. They didn't come and tell me, by the way, this whole thing is over. They were just going to let me sit there. I've only cried twice in my adulthood. Twice I've cried. When my uncle died, my uncle was like my dad. My dad wasn't in my life, but my uncle he stepped in when he passed away in 2003. And I cried on what was soon to be my girlfriend's chest like a little baby because I thought I was going to prison for something I did not do. Bawling like a baby. So yes, this matters to me. And I'm sick of seeing men, if you did it, you deserve the punishment. Take it. But there are men out here who are not doing these things, or women are setting them up and putting them in positions, and nobody seems to care. And I'm glad that he talked about this law because this was a target. She expanded this to women for a reason because somebody tipped her off. Somebody told her, hey, this could make or break. You ever remember politicians, and I say this, having the current Attorney General of Maryland in my family. They all are looking for something to make their career. All of them. Even when I was a detective, I was looking for that case that was going to send me to homicide. We all do it. This is serious. And when I keep preaching to men, you have to be careful. Stop being so trusting of women. Protect yourself. Because the government is not going to do it for you.
You know, I think only women who have sons understand this. Because women who don't have sons, they will rally with pitchforks and knives to protest anything that's against men. But when you have women who love their sons and they don't want to see their sons railroaded, you will hear women like me come forth. I got 2 boys. One is a man, a grown man. He got his own family. He's married. Okay. And I got a young boy who is in middle school, heading to high school. So I'm that mama that don't want to be in court crying because my son messed with your daughter. And my son told your daughter that he didn't want a relationship with your daughter. And so now your daughter said, my son forced her. So now I gotta cry and pray to God that my child don't get sent up the river because your daughter lied. And now when they do finally convict him, because that's what they do, if nobody else don't come forth, when they convict him and then he goes spend 25 years of his life in prison. And this girl go off in her life, and then finally her conscience eats at her. Then she want to come and say, my son didn't do anything. That's the problem I have with us in the Western world. This is what they would say, oh, she apologized, but she took 25 years of his life. You don't know what this man went through in prison. You don't know how they did him. And we all know, whoever had family members who went to prison, we all know how they handle men who have our cases. We all know that. So now I had my son or any type of man had to fight for their life because a woman lied on them. This is the thing that hurts so bad, that the Western world don't even understand this. But we want equal rights. That's the thing that bothers me. We want equal rights, but we can't teach our girls how to do clink, clink. Take heed to the message. I'm done.
Well, it's like we always knew, Take Heed. You're exactly right. We always knew that with any of these movements, most of the time, it's very seldom about acceptance or equality. It's always about power. It's always about a usurping of power from one group and just a paradigm shift to the other group. It's the same when we were on the panel with Bubs. Shout out to Bubs if you're watching. But it's like when we were on the panel with him, like, you know, hey, maybe you're the one out of a million that doesn't look at it this way. But it's very clear that the LGBT as a whole is a group that is interested in power, in control of the social dynamic and the conversations that we're having. So guys, I think we have had an excellent conversation. I know it's getting late. We've been on here for a while, but I think we've had such a great discourse between everyone. I want to thank all of the panelists, and I'll give everyone a chance to kind of say their piece as we exit out. So JT from the What We Know podcast, you want to give us some closing thoughts?
Absolutely. So to my man Trey, bro, I feel your pain. I really do, because one of my biggest things is, and I've always said this since I was a young man, since I was in my 20s, women don't like to take L's, and they would do whatever it takes not to take an L. Like what we talked about earlier, the reason why a man can sit back and say, hey, if you ain't trying to give it up, then I ain't trying to give you no attention. And they succumb to whatever it is because they don't like taking L's. I don't know about you guys, but I've been broken up before. And there was no real reason. She just didn't want whatever it was. She had a change of thought. And when I looked at her and said, well, why are you doing this? She couldn't give me an answer, and she didn't want to talk about it. It's a look that a lot of women have in their eyes when they say, I don't give a fuck about you. And they have this look in their eyes, and they do whatever it is, whether it's a man, whether it's money, whether it don't matter. This is why, like when we was saying about with Trey, how passionate he is about certain things, one of the reasons is it's because of the pain that a lot of women have caused them. Same thing with me. The pain that a lot of women have caused me. I'm 50 now. So, you know, I got a chance to really sit back and say, I've had that chance where women have came back. It's like a boomerang. And I'm talking about many of them have come back when they find out, oh, he's with somebody else. Oh, he's doing well in life. Wait, not only is he doing well, whoever he with, they're doing well. And they would try to come back and talk to me as if I forgot what the fuck they did. You know, I remember that look in your eyes when you said, fuck that, and whatever it was that you had to do. You don't want to take the L, whatever it was. This is the thing that I had to learn. Never regress and keep moving forward. That was one of the things I did. When we talk about that discernment shit, that was one of the things I had to do. I don't give a damn how good it was in the past. Don't you ever regress back to that woman. Because the only thing she gonna do is show you why you and her broke up anyway for the first time. That first time anyway. Leave that shit alone. Let lion dogs lay. Is that how that go? I don't know how those cliches go, but you get what I'm saying. So the thing is as men, we have to have a discipline about ourselves. Not a dick discipline. No, a discipline in life. Lose enough money, you're going to find out what it is that you need to do to keep your goddamn money. That's what it is. With most men, that's why you have men that don't have a lot of children. That's why you got a large amount of men that don't have children. That's why you got a large amount of men that if they do, they got one. Especially if they had to go and deal with the court system. Motherfuckers like, shit, I'm not going to deal with that shit no more. Not because I had to go to court, because she can't deal with the L. Because she used the court to try to kill my whole life. Not to get, what's fair. No, I want your dreams. I want your aspirations. I want everything that you have, because I don't want you to be happy, content. I don't want you to thrive in life. This is what men have to do. If they don't have that relationship with consequences, they ain't gonna understand shit we talking about. We can talk about dick discipline, discernment. We can talk about all that shit. Sometimes life gonna have to show them. If you want to maintain this right here, you better start disciplining your goddamn self. I'm in it just like that.
Thank you, JT. And that is good words to live by, especially for the men. You know what I'm saying? You got to be really mindful of the types of women that you are dealing with. But sometimes you just got to have those life lessons so that you can really understand what's going on out here. Ray, what you got to say, big dog?
I mean, at the end of the day, the higher up you climb, the more you have to navigate to protect yourself. That it's just what it is. Like, and what JT was saying and what Trey is saying is right. I mean, the reality of a situation is if a woman breaks up with you, she wants you destroyed because you improving or becoming more than what you were when she had you makes her wrong. And we know about women and accountability and women and being wrong. They hate to see it. They hate to see that growth. So the point at which a woman breaks up with you. Now, this ain't specific to when you break up with her, because then she's just asked out. But if she breaks up with you specifically, she goes, I'm ending things. That point forward, the only reference point she has for being like, oh, I was right about him is your life being worse. So you already know what the MO is there. The game is what the game is. And like I've said, and I'll continue to say it, knowing the game does not mean you got to be a better bitch about it. Just know the game, adapt, move forward. Like, you ain't got to be sitting out here screaming from the rooftops. You ain't got to be getting in people's faces in public. You just disassociate from those types of women. You let them know. And you carry yourself honestly, don't even carry yourself where you're at. Carry yourself where you're supposed to be, please. Like, stop. We got to stop. If you are trying to be high value, whatever, if you're going to be somebody and leave your mark in this world, carry yourself as such. Understand that not every woman even deserves to be in your presence, and carry yourself as such. It's okay to let a chick that don't qualify know, like, what are you doing here? Why are you even talking to me? What do you want? Because you ain't got nothing to give to me, but something that I got a better opportunity to get elsewhere. You don't deserve to be around me. Your time has value. And at a certain point, your time does have value. And you should be able to ascribe exactly what that value is. And you should carry yourself as such. You shouldn't be casting gems amongst swine. Sometimes you're the gym, and sometimes some of these chicks that you busting down willy-nilly are the swine. They don't deserve to be in your presence. You might not want to go down that road, homie. You might want to pass. You might want to stick to the upper quality of women that you should be surrounding yourself with. That aside, also make sure even still you're constantly vetting. You're you have to be on defense after a certain point because, like Trey said, you are a mark. And you gotta navigate as such. It's unfortunate that that's the world that we live in. But like, if you dealing with Western chicks, you dealing with American women, this is the reality because we're seeing what they do, and actions speak louder than words, which means that you gotta vet appropriately. And I mean, even for those of you out here in the dating market, like you've got to vet appropriately. These chicks switch up, like. One of my employees, his wife left a review on the business's page for a job he doesn't do for us because she lost custody of her kid. They want to destroy. Like, and you gotta always, and it was like, I read it and just, it was one of those things where it was so stupid that I was like, he doesn't do this job here. And the majority owner, my business partner, he messaged her and was like, yo, he doesn't do the job. That job that you're saying that he doesn't do that. And her response, the woman who lost her custody, she lost custody of her child. Her kid hates her. Okay. So this woman's response was, you hiring him is a reflection on your poor judgment and bad skills as a businessman. I'm leaving the post up and I won't take it down. And then proceeded to barrage him, who is not her ex-husband, with messages and voicemails and messages until he blocked her.
But she was married to him and had a kid.
Right. That she no longer has custody of. But you know where that's going, Trey. Oh, if you lose your job, I can get the kid back, so I can get that child support money because she's also broke. They want to destroy everything. Like, so you just gotta protect yourself out here, man. Like, honestly, like I think we got to stop talking trash about the passport bros. I think we might owe the passport bros an apology because they might have been ahead of the game. They might have seen what was coming. They might have experienced what was coming and decided that they're not going to deal. Because do you want your life destroyed? Like, I mean, I don't know who's signing up for that. So always protect yourself. You gotta make sure to take care of yourself. Obviously, I always say you try to do right as best you can by other people. But at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself. I'm gonna land it there.
Mm-hmm.
To just real quick and not to open a can of worms just a little bit, I think the reason why some people, like specifically, I'll take accountability myself. I have had some interesting takes about the passport bros. The only reason why I have had pushback to that movement is because I feel like when you think about the end game of it, I don't see it being ultimately advantageous anyway, because either you're going to stay in the country that you're finding these women in, and we're not going to pretend like the type of women that these men are saying they want, the more docile, traditional, etc. We know that a lot of those countries are developing countries, third world countries, and you know that your Americanized self drinking $10 coffees and going to Planet Fitness every day and having the luxuries that we have here, you know you are not going to want to go and spend the rest of your life in the Philippines. Or you will bring your woman over here and she's just going to become Americanized anyway. But anyway.
Jay, question.
No, stop. Everybody going around.
Hold on. Arpain, you need to calm down.
Turn.
This is a young folks conversation. You ain't going nowhere. You married.
No.
Hold up a second. Arpain, you gotta. You listen, Grant. Peepaw, you gotta go sit in your chair for a second. I got this.
Put him away, JJ.
I sponsor one of the guys. Hey, I sponsor one of the guys. So don't tell me I don't that I don't apply. I sponsor one of the guys with my money. So, but you can go, Ray. But don't tell me.
No. RK, go.
Jay, to your point. We don't. This is the deal, and I'm not speaking as a passport bro, but what I'm saying is this: if y'all ain't gonna act right, that's one of the great things about being a man. We can go get women from other places and make new Americans. We'll retcon this shit in our own image. That's the reason I'm saying we don't have to deal with you. Like, we literally, like, we could just cut bait and be like, cool, we gonna go make. There's a bunch of Venezuelan women over here looking for men right now that just got here. We ain't even gotta go nowhere now. I can go to Chicago and get one. I will make another American, and I'll make a nuclear family that's functional.
Hey, Ray, but look, check this out. And I normally don't watch terrestrial TV like this, but me and my girl was watching 90 Day Fiance, right?
Right.
And this dating abroad shit. That shit is all failing. All that shit is failing. You got motherfuckers bringing women back from over here, from Panama. You bringing them all from what was the place that you just called? They coming from all over the place.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what, JT? This is the reality of it, though. You're getting lied to either way. We're utility. So she's at least gonna lie well for 5 years. And she gonna lie like she means it. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, look, I could be with anybody. The game is the game is the game. If I'm gonna be utility, I want you to sell me. Sell me, bitch. Like, sell me the lie. Make me believe it. Yeah. I'd rather have 5 years of believing the lie and having it sold perfectly than to deal with getting drug over the coals, getting put up in the court system and prosecuted, because once she gets her citizenship, most likely, even if y'all don't stay together, she's giving you a kid that's going to respect you. She's going to have that kid have their value. She's going to get her green card. She's going to be like, yo, well, I don't really want to do this no more. And it's going to be an amicable bounce. You ain't going to end up in court getting charged with trafficking this woman that gave you 5 years of her going, look, I'm gonna do what I need to do to keep this dude happy for these 5
years. Let me give y'all some more ammo, because
Arpain, let Arpain go, y'all.
I just want to give y'all some more ammo on the Passport Bros before Arpain go, because y'all like to shit on the Passport Bros. I love Passport Bros. I think they're genius. I think they're geniuses personally, but I'm gonna give y'all some more ammo. When you do bring your wife back to America, there's a certain document you must sign as a part of the K-1 visa program that essentially says that you're making a agreement with the United States government that you are willing to take care of her for at least 10 years if you guys should break up.
Yes.
If it doesn't work out, the following 10 years, she will not be a financial burden or responsibility to the United States government. You have to sign that paperwork or else her visa won't be granted. So this is one of the things the Passport Bros always leave out. They don't ever talk about this little thing, this little part about it. You can bring her back, but it's going to cost you. So to Ray's point, we are utility whether we're over there or whether we're over here. Yeah. Baby, sell me the dream, baby. Sell it to me. My thing is if it's an investment, like I told Courtney Michelle, at least make it worth my damn while. At least give me something to get. At least give me something out of it.
Hey Trey,
go ahead, Arpain.
The thing is that I'm gonna let you go, Arpain. The thing is this. I'm just gonna put it out here. It's all a fucking risk. All of it. Everything is a risk. It's how much you want to wager down on it.
Yo, so Sister Mac, you actually, carved a new program for another full discussion. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not going to do this one justice. I actually sponsor a brother who's a Passport Bro, and all the shit that everybody's talking about, this assumption that these guys want to bring women back to the United States, one, is wrong. Two, these men have always been going abroad for new wives. They don't necessarily look, and this whole notion that the rest of the world is eating out of mud huts and cow pies and shit is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They got internet, they got TVs and shit. They got people, feminism is actually permutating all of these so-called third world countries everybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. So that's just bullshit. So all I'm just trying to say is everything you're saying is just not just you, but all this American bullshit about guys going abroad for women. Some guys are going over there to get laid. Some guys are going over there to just have fun. And some guys are going over there to have sex. I mean, not sex, but find wives. That's the same thing they do here in the United States. So all this shit about passport bros, the only thing that's true is that American women have priced themselves. A lot of American women, not just black women, but especially black women, have priced themselves outside of the market. That they're not worth the goddamn squeeze. A lot of women are not worth the squeeze. And as long as they keep this whole mindset that they want traditional men and they don't want to be traditional women, it's going to have men flocking. It's not just the passport bros. It's the MGTOW movement. It's just men who just giving up. It's just guys who don't want to get married anymore. Because every woman who thinks she gives up more in marriage than a man, that's just bullshit. Because when we get married, we give up every freaking thing. Everything. You know, women have access to everything we have. And all we ask for them is a couple of things: respect, exclusivity, access. So, women always extract more out of men than we extract out of them, even if they don't believe it. So let me just lend that there. So let's leave the passport bros alone, because I can't stand when people are talking about these freaking guys like they're some kind of monsters. They just want to go out and find women who appreciate them as men. And in America, that shit is less and less and less and less and less and less and less every goddamn day. So for those of us, and especially the young guys, when I see the young guys doing it, I'm proud of them, because they're showing the rest of the young men that there's more to the world than just sitting in the United States and being overtaxed, getting their ass kicked by these immoral laws and all this stuff. So let's just, okay. You know what? I hate to use the word trigger because I'm a man. Just like, a man can't be triggered, right? But I really take umbrage about people talking about, not just you, sister, because I believe this is a whole full-length conversation so you could blackmail BMU to come back. And because I really appreciate, I'm moving on. I really appreciate what you've done today. Mm-hmm. This has been a good discussion. Go ahead, say what you're going to say.
So, thank you. First of all, thank you for that. And take heed. I'm gonna definitely let you go, but I have to give my listen. I am a Leo, and it's not that I have to have the last word, because I do not. But I cannot let people misunderstand what I am saying. Okay. So I just want to give a little bit of clarification. I respect a man's decision to do anything that he wants as it pertains to finding a wife and creating a family. I will say, however, that I think it is a little disingenuous to suggest that these men are not doing this for at least some basic level of sex in some way, because even Mr. Bennett, when he was on here earlier, he literally said he married his wife so that he could have sex with her. Like, men, like, we can't pretend like that's not a big thing. I'm saying, like, so if you're saying that there's nothing kind of icky in a way about going to other countries where women barely understand you because there's a huge language barrier. Then you said feminism has stretched across it. So then you just proved my point, because if the women are feminist over there and they don't even speak your language, what benefit are you going to have by doing it?
Hold on for a second. Can I get into this? What is wrong with
I thought we were saving this for another show.
No, stop it, Trey. Let me speak.
I thought we were saving it for another show.
Wait a minute, Trey. What's wrong with a man wanting to have sex from his woman?
Jay started this.
What is wrong with a man who wants to have sex with his woman?
I didn't say that there was anything wrong with that.
Wait a minute. We don't have to go across the seas to admit that we want to have sex with our women. Right? Right here in America, every woman who's married to a man, guess what? He wants to bust that shit out. What are you talking about? So stop it.
That's literally what I said.
That these guys are going overseas to get sex. It's bullshit, because if they're here, that's
I'm sorry. Aren't you guys the same men that said that men weren't having sex over here? So why would it be so far-fetched to believe that they're going over there to have sex?
No. Jay, wait a second.
Guys, can I go, please?
Let Take go and we can come back, our pain.
Let me finish my closing thoughts. That's a whole new topic. and I think it's a good one. But let me finish my closing stuff on this topic because you opened a whole can of worms, Sister Mac. And our toughest things any man has ever done is turn down a nice. Wait, let me just finish.
J-Mac, you're missing something. Before Take Heed goes, you're missing something.
Let me just try to say that
is actually a good thing.
Well, wait a minute.
Because we don't want to hear y'all talk anyway.
But can I put my 2 cents in? Because I want to go to my king. I'm tired already, y'all. I just want to put my 2 cents in real quick. Can I do that? Is it okay? Okay.
Go ahead, Take Heed, sister.
So here we go. I remember a couple months ago, right? I put out a reel, and I'm gonna be quick. I put out a reel that I said passports are weak, right? Everybody misinterpreted the reel. I said passports are weak because they want women that respect them, that love them. They want women to be obedient to them. And this is why they are weak. But I'm being sarcastic, but everybody missed the whole thing. See, the women that are abroad, they know how we treat our men. It's all over the world. They see it. So when they get a man who is from America and they know he's traveling to them because he can't get what he needs at home, she's not going to do the things that y'all women say she's going to do. She's going to sell herself to be a good woman. You will see her be amazing to this man so that he will want to wife her. Because remember, they see all the nonsense that's going on over here anyway. They see all the foolery. So when they see Black young men, any color young man come over, they're going to do their best to get a ring on it. So this is the thing that we miss. They saying that women are being weaponized overseas, but I'm going to share something with you. Women overseas, they still understand the assignment, even if they don't speak English. And sometimes there are women in all these countries. All these countries are not just mud huts. Some of these young women, they have beautiful houses. They come from families who have strong backgrounds, especially in Africa. They only show the parts that look like mud houses. But first of all, many people that I know, and I have a true link with Nigeria. Okay. When I go, the houses don't look like much. They look like mansions. They look bigger than my house. Okay. They have cars and everything that they own it. It's not on credit. So some of these women who come from these families, they have seen money, more money than some of these men who bring it over to them, because their families own a lot of things. There are some countries that these young women live well. They are not all mud houses. So we have to understand that our men are being mistreated here by us. And so they go abroad and meet women who know they're being mistreated by us. It's all over the world that American women don't respect their husbands and boyfriends and men that they date. It's all over the world because it's on social media. So I can't sit up here and say that passport bros, this should not be right. No, shout out to the passport bros. If your women can't do right in your own country, you still have a job to do. God said, go forth and reproduce. So you still have to do it. So if your sister doesn't want to understand the assignment, sometimes you have to fly out and get someone from another sister from another country and learn how to handle the assignment. I'm just saying we got to call a spade a spade. All these women are not just living in mud houses and they want American men because the American men is going to treat them so well or whatever like that. Some of these women come from beautiful homes where they have foundations, that they know that men are the head of the family. It's only in America that the woman is the head. And I said it, and I don't care who's mad about it. It's only in America that the woman is the head. So yes, shout out to the passport bros. Do what you do. If your sisters don't want to understand the assignment, but they'll come on social media crying, talking about all the men are leaving. This is what they say, all the men are leaving, but the same men that you saying are leaving, you didn't want them. You didn't want them. Take peace.
Can I finish? I'll move off of this topic. You know, the only problem. Wait, I gotta finish. Goddamn it, Trey! You're gonna get your chance. Just fucking wait, man. Hold on.
You just a babbling
I didn't
tonight.
finish.
You babbling on, man. Come on.
Everybody cut me off. I don't know why you got this thing. First of all, I agree with you on what you said, your little diatribe of when you got in trouble, because that was my whole thing from yesterday, that these laws are not good for men. But the passport thing, I'm gonna move on. Except, we got to look at that. We just got to I think it's a good conversation for another one, and but I think all the sisters who hate these brothers for trying to have lives with women that respect them and appreciate them, you're gonna lose that argument. You're just gonna lose that argument. I don't care how much we argue. But here's another thing. Listen, men and women have this thing that we need to get straight. Men might be predators of women, but women have proven that they know how to hurt men. And the laws that we have now, from an emotional standpoint and a financial standpoint, women are much more vicious against men than the other way around. I'm just saying, I mean, we can go tit for tat, and I don't want to do that, but we need to find a way to reconnect so we can move forward. And the last thing I want to say is, and this is for you, Sister Mac, are you married?
I'm not yet.
Oh, see, I thought you were married, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter from the standpoint that one of the things I think women need to understand is that it doesn't matter how long, if you like a man sexually, it doesn't matter how long you withhold sex from him. But if you look at, let me just finish. If you look at this 90-day rule that this asshole Steve Harvey came up with, if you withhold sex from a man because you like him for 90 days, he's going to end up resenting you. And he's going to stay. You know why? Because he knows there's a maintenance man coming there busting those cheeks while he's spending all his money, spending all his time. And so all he's going to think about is, I got to get another notch in my belt, and then he's going to ghost you, because it's not about the amount of time you hold a man from sex, especially if you are sexually attracted to him. Is you got to get a man to post-nut clarity, because it's the day after that counts. If a man has sex with you and he still wants to come back, he still wants to give you flowers, he still wants to say all those sweet things, then you got something. Because the post-nut clarity for a man is whether he knows that this was just a one-night stand. Could be the first night. I'm not saying do it on the first night. All I'm just trying to say, post-nut clarity for every single woman in a relationship, they had to pass through a man's post-nut clarity, because that's when he decides that he wants you, because sex ain't the most important thing. I know a lot of women ain't going to agree with this shit, but every man just reflect. If you stay with a woman after you bust that first nut, it's because it's more than just her sex. And a woman doesn't realize that, because she thinks if I give it up too fast, he might ghost me. But that's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of long marriages where the woman gave him some sex on the first night. I'm just telling you guys a little bit of what the 65-year-old dinosaur and shit is kind of telling you fucking people a little bit of stuff that I know. But I'll end it. Listen, you got to come back as you know.
Can I get?
I am
Jesus Christ,
subscribed to your channel. Go ahead, Trey. God damn it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, R-Pain. Your take. Trey, you had a question to ask me?
When you first came, when I first saw, I was like, what, she's all right. She's okay. Not too bad. I had my feelings about women in male spaces, I personally don't think y'all should be here at all. But that's just my personal opinion, right? Doesn't make it right or wrong. But the more you talk, like take heed, it grew on me, right? It grew on me. Okay, she's logical, makes sense, right? And J Mac, logical, makes sense. Until you start talking about the passport bros, and now I'm about ready to toss you off a bridge because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the thing, right? Men are going to be men regardless. I agree with you. There are a lot of men who are going overseas to have sex. Plain and simple. Let's not even get it twisted. And if you saw the Brazilian women that I saw when I was in Rio, if you saw the Colombian women that I saw when I was in Cartagena, you would take your ass over there too for those reasons. As a man, remember 17 times the testosterone in my body. My libido is different than yours. Okay? I think the issue here is that there's a certain demographic of men that were not supposed to be doing this. You're not allowed to do this. See, white men, you can go over to Southeast Asia and go get all the petite little Asian chicks you want. Nobody gives a damn. White girls didn't care. They don't give a damn. But you black men, nah, this is not for you. Let's be real. Only 6% of black men only have their passports. So we're talking about an elite group of men, really. We really are talking about a specific group of men who have their passports who can even go over to other countries. Because most majority of them don't have it. You wasn't supposed to be doing this. This is against what we want for you. That's the issue here. So no, I'm going to push every black man, take your ass to Thailand, take your ass to Philippines, take your ass to Colombia, Costa Rica, take your ass to Brazil, and you need to determine whether or not this is where you want to be.
Don't forget
because the beauty of being a man is if you don't want none of the women in any of those countries, you can always come home. We have that ability. We have that ability. I can always come back to America and say, you know what? I was just dating American women. I tried it over there. I didn't like it. This idea that we're not even teaching them, and again, this to me is about teaching men that I don't think passport bros is the solution, but it certainly is an option. I want black men to start expanding. You are not ridiculed. You are not stuck here in America when it comes to women. Go. If you don't like it, come back. You ain't got to go nowhere. Women can't do that. Women don't have that option. They think they do, but they don't. And I want to see more black women actually get behind these men and say, yeah, no, we want you to travel. Because if y'all shit don't stink, wouldn't we just come right back to y'all? Wouldn't we go over there, go have our fun and come right on back to the black women because y'all are superior? Like y'all trying to get us to believe that y'all are with your overinflated sense of self-worth. The truth of the matter is that y'all know that the men who actually travel cost me $5,000 to go to Colombia. That ain't no cheap trip.
That's clearly what I know, and that's what I said in my comment. I said that at the end of the day, that you end up spending thousands of dollars to go somewhere else. First of all, the bottom line is J-Mac don't care because J-Mac got a man. So when I'm talking about this is coming from a very objective place of saying from my observations, and I actually have a very personal example that I can give you. I won't say, and no, I'm not triggered MOY freestyle. I don't get triggered because at the end of the day, I like having objective conversations. I have a friend whose father, I really hate to tell this story, but I'm just gonna say it. I have a friend whose father is a disturbed individual, very, very perturbed, very disturbed individual. And when he left his wife, the first thing that he did was travel abroad, specifically to Thailand, so that he may have access to underage girls. And that is exactly what he did while he was over there. And if you didn't know that part of his story, if you only knew that he left his wife to say, hey, I left a black lady. Black ladies get on my nerves. They're this and that, which first of all, once again, I can tell you guys must not watch my podcast because I give black women complete grief. So I'm not saying that the black American woman, I'm not putting her on any sort of pedestal or anything. See, this is what I'm talking about. How am I speaking on my trauma?
But Jay, it's the verbiage that you use. You use the word icky. The story that you just told was about.
I said some examples.
It's a
That's just
minority.
some examples.
It's a minority.
Some example. That's an extreme example.
Yeah, it's so like majority of men are good, upstanding, law-abiding.
So we're gonna pretend like sex trafficking isn't one of the largest industries in the world.
Wait a minute, Jenny, you're making a very large allegation here. Like, do you have proof that this man? You got pictures of him with kids? Like,
actually, yes. And what I'm saying is also, once again, why'd you guys ignore my point I just made? Are we going to pretend like sex trafficking isn't one of the largest industries in the world? So, excuse me, hold on, let me finish. So if it is that, then somebody has to be participating in it. So I'm not saying that every black man who wants to say, hey, let me try to date an Ethiopian woman, let me try to date a whatever insert woman is some sort of weirdo or pervert. What I'm saying is we can't pretend like that doesn't exist. And we can't also pretend like running away from our problems, and this goes for anybody, running away from your problems never solves them. If you want to completely disconnect from black women, then do it. But if you want to build up your community, then totally discrediting your counterparts, because we're the ones that are here. The American black experience is not the same as the foreign black experience. Mm-hmm. It is not the same as the Venezuelan experience. It is not the same as the Taiwanese or however you say experience. Mm-hmm. It is our experience. So if you have that experience and I have that experience, and we both know that we're both coming from places of trauma, the same way that you men have experienced trauma from us, we can't pretend like some women haven't experienced trauma from black men as well. Are we trying to heal each other, or aren't we?
Well, I mean, I personally don't advocate for drug dealers
to go to the most extreme example of a man going over for sex trafficking and saying that passport bros need to be branded with a man like that is extreme. That's extreme. That's really extreme. I mean, it's like for me to say the sisters, that all the sisters are sexy red. I would never say that.
No.
I would never say that.
J-Mac, I gotta challenge you on this. I gotta challenge you. You gotta do more research on your FBI stats. Sex trafficking, it is a problem. I can honestly say it's a problem, but it is not as prevalent as one wants to make it out to be. Especially when you start to break down the statistical categories of what actually qualifies sex trafficking in the first place. So there's a lot of these things, and I say that having someone who had access to FBI statistics and data. It's not what we think it is. But I will say this. I'm not arguing that there are some sick freaks out here in this world. I don't think any of us are arguing that. We are just simply saying that it is a small group and it is a small minority, and it does not represent the majority of men who travel overseas. And the verbiage that you use sometimes can be a little bit misleading when you use words like icky or petite Asians, when majority of Asians are petite. Like it's a weird kind of way you're using your words. And you're
What's
an intelligent woman, so it's
Asian?
It's a little weird.
If you just said that most Asian women are petite, what's wrong with me calling them petite?
Because we know
it's the way that you say it.
Come on.
No, it's not the way that I say it. It's the way that you're interpreting it. I said petite Asian women because Asian women are petite.
Hey, Jay, I can be like, yo, I like a sexy petite Asian, but you be like,
there's a childish quality about
Asian. She's the size of a child.
Right.
That's the way that you say it, bro.
Come on,
that's
Jay.
not what I said, and that's not how I said it.
Right.
So it's not my problem that's how you interpreted that.
Okay, maybe we can get Black Man to get you to host another Talk Tuesday, and we can hash this thing out.
We can.
That's a good topic. What we gotta do is it's gotta be an even panel though, because I don't want it to be Jay up here just defending herself against us. We gotta get some of the other passport bro haters.
Yeah, get some more passport bro haters.
I'm not a passport bro hater, and I would also like to mention I would also like to mention to the people in the comments that the inability of people to listen to dissenting opinions without making ad hominem attacks is really, really crazy to me that we still have that problem in 2023. If you can't listen to somebody offering an opinion that is different than yours without attacking that person as a person, none of you in this chat know me from a can of paint, nor do I know you. But what I know of you is what you are showing me, which is that you are incapable of articulating yourselves. Half of you, the amount of grammar errors and nonsensical little phrases y'all are stringing together is really sad and pathetic. But anyway, whose turn was it to give their ending remarks?
It was mine, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I think we need to have another show. I'm gonna send Black Man a message. We need to talk about this passport thing because I am a firm believer that black men need to travel, and I don't think enough black men travel enough.
Who votes for J Mac to come back for this topic?
I'm voting for it.
So I think that's one.
I put both hands up.
I don't think that Black Man has ever talked about too. I don't think we actually got in depth on that whole thing of passport bros or whatever. I think we've talked about it with other subjects, but I don't think that we've actually, because I know that I've said something where I'm like, damn, for one, I'm too old to be a passport bro. For two, I've been in many of countries and I just never considered myself a passport bro, you know.
And simply traveling does not make you a passport bro. So Trey, I don't know why you feel like you keep saying I want black men to travel. When did I say I didn't want black men to travel?
He said he wants them to travel and experience women that know how to treat them right.
No,
that's what he said.
Let me say this as a
it'd be good for conversation because I don't think we ever had it on
Here's what I'm saying. If we want to have a nice conversation about this, it'd be nice to have a well-rounded conversation of all sides. Yeah. And so I'm not being facetious when I say, you know, we need to have some sisters who have their mindset, no matter how it is, to be on the panel and, you know, maybe one or two sisters, not just you. Because I'm thinking we need to kind of have a nice, calm, controlled conversation for what we think. Because like I said, I personally sponsor a guy who's a passport bro. And his arc from when he started 2 years ago to where he's at, if I had a son, I would like him to be able to follow that guy because his worldview is absolutely amazing. That's what I'm thinking. So, and it's not about, he wants to stroke some chicks because he's young. And that's nothing wrong with that because every man I know who's young wants to stroke some chicks. But whether they're in America or abroad. But if you try to tell me he's sex trafficking, I'm going to have a big issue with that because that's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, so the fact is that from Africa to Asia to Europe to South America, he's culturally adapt to what's going on in each one of those countries. And before he's showing any chicks, he's showing how people are living, how their cultures are, some of the most revered places in those areas. It's not just he did the slave thing when whatever the slave trade was. He hired this guy. The guy didn't have any teeth in his mouth. This guy was the best tour guide in the world. And he showed all the slave places before they got. I said, man, this shit is fantastic. You know, so this whole thing that he's just getting stroked by honeys, it's a sidebar. You know, that's a part of it because he's a young man. If you give me some trim, I'm going to take it. So the fact is that this whole thing about passport bros is being exacerbated by women who, mostly black women who says, shit, you know what? If these guys leave, we don't have nobody else to manipulate, you know, because these guys, it costs money to live abroad. It costs money to live abroad. So these guys ain't broke. These guys ain't dusty busties for the most part. And it ain't just black men because white men have been doing this shit for years. And so,
all right, we want to go home.
It's a good discussion. I'm gonna land with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and thank you so much for that input because you are 100% right. I do also feel like though we need to make sure that every time we're having discussions about something that Black people do, we do not need to deflect and mention other races of people and what they do. However, we are going to leave, or at least I am. I can't control what these men on the panel do, but I am going to leave. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this broadcast as much as I have. One thing about J-Mac, if you, first of all, subscribe to the Tough Topics podcast because it's not called Tough Topics for no reason. Any of these men who have watched my videos will tell you it is. I'm not usually arguing in real time with people like I was tonight. And I shouldn't say arguing, having a conversation with. But I do typically go just as hard. so if you like heavy conversations, please feel free to subscribe to the Tough Topics podcast. But before we all get out of here, can we please just collectively either say out loud or type in the chat, happy birthday to BMU. He has been such an invaluable person. Yes, he's been such an invaluable person in all of our lives.
Old man, happy birthday. What he like, 59? 50,
he just turned 40. He just turned 40. Yep, he
forget about it. I'm
welcome him into the 40s. I moved out of there 2 years ago, so shit.
Make sure you stretch in the morning now, BMU.
He got 10 more Christmases.
You got
to start taking testosterone shots here somewhere, man.
Hey, listen, I'm 65, and I was rejoicing this morning. I'm 65, and this morning I was rejoicing big time because I felt like
because you woke up. You was happy.
Number one, but number two there was some rock solid shit going on.
All right. Nobody wants
you got 2.5 Christmases left. You got 2 Christmases and the 4th of July left. That's all you got.
Jay, can you end this please before he starts taking his shirt off?
Yes, guys. So once again,
I get a divorce if I take my shirt off in front of my wife.
You know, he used to be a stripper. Exactly. You know, he used to be a stripper.
Y'all leave our pain alone. But listen, guys, if you are not subscribed to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, also make sure that you do that. Don't be watching from the clouds and not supporting. Make sure to like the video either on the way in or on the way out. And all jokes and commentary aside, thank you so much to all of my panelists. You guys made the show very interesting and watchable. I'm sure the audience really enjoyed it. And with that being said, J-Mac is out. I hope everybody has a great evening. And until next time.
Peace.